Check, check. Yeah, that's a tap. I don't have a free hand. You're going to have to tap. Yeah, because that would make too much sense. That would make too much sense. Yeah, that taps it again. Mic check. Check 1, 2. Pregame show live here based in Horodiski. Big fan of Syracuse basketball. No, it's Horodiski. That's why it pisses them off when they pronounce it wrong. All right, we're ready? Count us in.
Is there a weird effect on?
Welcome everybody to the Cotuit Kettleers pregame show. Alongside me, Ben Fisher. I'm Zach Kaplan. The Kettleers coming back home after a couple of road games to take on the Orleans Firebirds, a team that they're no stranger to. Of course, a very interesting game last time these two teams met in Orleans over the weekend. We'll talk about that in a second. Ben, how are you today?
I'm doing quite well, Zach. Beautiful day for baseball. Got a little breeze going. Hopefully not going to get too sunburned again. So, good day to work.
Try not to get sunburned here. The Kettleers getting ready for first pitch, set in about 28 or so minutes from now. But first, we'll bring you the pregame show, some storylines around the league, including in the Western Division with the Kettleers. Kettleers able to get a big win last night, 10-4, and it was quite an offensive showing over Hyannis. I mean, Ben, let's break it down here. The offense was humming, especially in the late innings.
Yeah, they got a solid contribution. They started off early with a booming. Booming's not the right word, but Thomas Dillard just ripped a ball on a 3-1 pitch to give him a 2-0 lead. Manufactured another run with the double steal. But yeah, once they came back to tie the game, Cotuit just exploded at the end of the game. With two balls, one by Dillard and one by Bierman. They probably haven't landed yet, and they'll probably land somewhere in Needham.
They could.
Yeah. And those balls were just crushed. The offense definitely late in the game, they woke up, and really two pitches was the whole story of that game. Just one to Dillard and one to Bierman to just give them that 6-3 lead, and then obviously the pitching sort of fell apart for Hyannis in the top of the ninth to sort of put it away. So it was a game that was really close for a long time, but then sort of Cotuit just blew it open, and it was over right away.
Absolutely, and three different pitchers giving up three or more runs for the Harbor Hawks last night. Using an old team name there for a second. And that was pretty much it. That was all she wrote. The late innings, the Kettleers are doing it yet again. And Zach Bierman hitting a home run. Thomas Dillard as well, 4 RBIs, and a well-executed double steal. Coach Roberts, obviously a big proponent of base running, and that double steal was executed pretty well there early on in the game.
Yeah, I think Dillard showed with that power that he could definitely be. You wouldn't expect a guy like him, built like a tank, hitting balls like that. You wouldn't expect him to be a guy who's a great fundamental base runner. But he, like everybody else on this team, really, he's run smart. They had some issues on defense, combating first and third situations the last couple days. And they've worked on that, and I think working on defense, and they've certainly worked on it on offense. So I think looking at it from both sides, and it was just perfectly executed. He got in the rundown. Will Robertson just took off from third base, and Dillard and Robertson executed perfectly in tandem, so there was no play at the plate. So it was just an excellent, to go along with some booming homers, it was an excellent fundamental base running play. Absolutely.
The Kettleers able to just continue their work at the base pass. Let's talk about the bat a little bit. Again, a little nitpicky. It's tough to break things out in a 10-4 win. Obviously, it's sort of getting into the nitty-gritty, but that fifth inning, seems like the Harbor Hawks just getting hits off of Zane Collins on the mound.
Yeah, he had a good first 4 innings, which was similar to his last start. He was much sharper his last start, but he had put out 4 great innings and then sort of faltered in that fifth inning, giving up a few hard hit balls, a few well placed balls for Hyannis. And then the relievers coming on bases loaded, 1 run in, nobody out, and allowing only 2 runs to score. You never want to give up 3 runs in an inning, but bases loaded, one run in, and nobody out, to come out of that with only 3 total runs against you, that's not terrible. So I would say definitely that was probably the low point of the game for Cotuit, but if that's your low point, you played a pretty good game.
Absolutely. The Kettleers able to improve on the year. They sit at 5-3 going into tonight's contest. Let's talk about some transactions, Ben, for this Cotuit Kettleers team. It was a busy last 24 hours or so with a couple new players coming in. We'll talk about one in particular in the starting lineup today. Michael Tolia, a returning Kettleer from a year ago from UCLA, coming in. He finally got those final exams done. I'm sure those the bio and organic chemistry probably giving PTSD to some of our viewers out there. So luckily, that's in the past. That's in the rear view. The Cape League in the front view for Mr. Tolia, as well as a couple other guys. Seth Schumann from Georgia Southern, a name you also might recognize, as well as Chris Lincoln from UC Santa Barbara, the starting pitcher for the Kettleers today. What do you make of these roster additions here? 2 returning guys and then 1 new with Lincoln. So kind of interesting here, a little shake-up on the roster. And the Kettleers kind of need it with a string of 12 straight games here, no off day till next Monday.
Yeah, it's definitely, we've talked about this earlier this week, just getting fresh legs, and I think especially fresh arms in has got to be a huge boost to this team, just facing so many tough hitters. You need guys. Tolia, obviously, great player at a great program in UCLA. He's a big guy. He can hit. They didn't lack for power yesterday, but they haven't really been crushing the ball, and especially in losses, they've been struggling to score. So I think having a guy who can produce runs all by himself with one swing of the bat is definitely big. Schumann and Lincoln are both quality arms, and I think definitely to have returning guys back just sort of shows that those are guys where you can sort of have expectations with them right away, because I don't think anybody, and I certainly don't think Coach Roberts would be bringing guys back if they weren't up to snuff or they didn't have the talent and the work ethic to play in the Cape League. So I think these are guys that you can expect to contribute right away.
Absolutely. Tolia and Schumann back for a second season, and it's a testament to them as well that they enjoyed playing here. There are plenty of other places you can go in the country to play college baseball, not as many as up to snuff as the Cape Cod League, but still they enjoyed it enough. They came back. They want to give scouts another look, and here they are for a second season. Let's talk about the lineups for each team. And as well, Chris Lincoln here, so he's making his debut today, just going back to him for a second. 55 and a third innings for the UC San Diego Gauchos this past season, 16 appearances with an ERA just over 4, sort of the Mendoza line for pitchers, if you will. So he really towed that line, but important arm out of the pen for the Gauchos.
Yeah, definitely, and I think on the Cape League it's important. You play so many games, and especially in a stretch like this, like we talked about, a guy to eat innings, and he showed he played quality competition. A 4 ERA is not great, but it's not or the end of the world. So I think he's definitely a guy who on the mound here, I think he can definitely be something where you can look back and say he made a real impact on the entire season, not just the time he was on the mound.
So Chris Lincoln on the mound, and with that said, let's go over today's lineup, starting with the Kettleers at home today. Pretty similar lineup to what we've been seeing, with the addition of Tolia, however, a little bit of moving around. It'll be Robertson leading off, playing right again for the Kettleers, followed by Dillard at the 2 spot playing in left. Again, it seems like Coach Roberts really likes to have those first 2 hitters, his power hitters, in the lineup, followed by Zach Bierman, again another power hitter, the home run last night. Batting third, playing first, Michael Tolia, making his 2018 Kettleers debut, the designated hitter in the cleanup spot. And then Bo Brundage, center field, batting fifth, followed by Eric Jones, playing third, batting sixth. Reynaldo Pastrana, playing catcher, batting seventh. And then Corey Wood and Adam Oviedo, the second baseman and the shortstop, rounding out the order respectively. Chris Lincoln on the mound for the Kettleers. Now let's look at the Orleans Firebirds, a much different order. It seems like only a couple hitters in common from the last time these two teams met just a few days ago. Brandon White leading off for the Firebirds, playing center field. J.J. Blade in right field, batting second. Pat DeMarco in the 3 spot in left field today. Logan Wyatt, the cleanup, playing first. He played in the last game between these two teams. Jax Groshans, the catcher for the Firebirds, he is batting fifth. Phil Clark, the DH, in the 6th spot. Justin Levy, the 7th spot, playing third base. Then Spencer Steer, a man who hit a home run against the Kettleers in the last game right over that left field fence at Eldridge Park, batting in the 8th spot. Ricky Martinez in the 9th spot. He was there last time these two teams met as well. And then it's Graham Stinson from Duke, the man on the mound for the Firebirds. Let's talk a little bit about them. Obviously said a lot there with both lineups. Kettleers keeping it pretty similar. Let's talk about them first.
Yeah, the Kettleers definitely keeping it simple, and that's the top of the lineup that can put up runs. I think they've leaned heavily on the top of the lineup. There's been a little bit of imbalance in terms of run creation, but these are guys where even if you have your bottom 5 guys aren't hitting, which I think they can contribute, and those guys can manufacture runs at the bottom of the order. The guys at the top of the order can just flat out score runs. These guys can hit. They can run well enough for guys who hit the way they do. So that's just a scary front 4 offensively for Cotuit.
And they'll look to keep it that way. The bats were flying last night, but they'll try to buck that trend. It seems like each time they've scored double-digit runs on the season, they come out the next game and they lose 4-1. As it's literally happened twice now. They say one's a fluke, two's a trend. They're hoping 3 won't be a pattern tonight. Let's talk about Orleans. 2-5 on the year. It just hasn't been their season so far in the basement of the Eastern Division, but of course it is still early. We've seen anything is possible in the Cape League. We've seen teams with records worse than that 7 games in come back and win the whole darn thing. Firebirds 4-3 losers to the Harwich Mariners yesterday, and then they split with Wareham in the doubleheader. What have you seen, Ben, sort of so far from the Firebirds?
Well, I think, honestly, what I've seen, and not saying I'm a subpar analyst, but I think what I've seen isn't the main point here. I think what I saw last game was sort of a team that could compete in most games, but in an overall season just wasn't really going to do a whole lot. But the two players who stick out to me today are guys who are both making their season debuts, and that's Blade batting second in right field. I was talking pregame. Me and a couple of the GM interns were talking to one of the guys from Orleans, and he said that Blade barrels everything. He said he barrels everything. He had 368 and had a 494 OBP. So he's a guy who hits the ball hard and is able to take a walk if people are going to pitch too carefully with him. And then Stinson is, as our friend Pete Flaherty would say, he was shoving at Duke. He a 1.89 ERA in 23 appearances, 98 walks versus 19 strikeouts in 62 innings. So that's a guy, I think a lot of the scouts are probably just here to see him.
Might be, if that's the case, but we'll see if he can pick up the Firebirds, again, making his debut for Orleans today. Let's go around the Cape Cod Baseball League a little bit here. The standings, they were packed together in the weekend. I feel like that was the last time we spoke to you. And now a little bit of separation here. Looking in the Eastern Division, like we just mentioned, Orleans in the bottom at 2-5. But from top to bottom, Harwich Mariners in first at 5-3. The Kettleers have not played them yet, but they will get a look at them later next week. And then Chatham 4-3. The Kettleers with a doubleheader in Chatham on Sunday. And then YD 2-4-2. Another tie last night. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then Brewster 2-4-1, followed by the Firebirds at 2-5. The Eastern Division starting to pan out a little bit here, starting to see some separation. YD, they just can't get out of their own way in terms of tying things, huh?
Yeah, that's it's unfortunate because people always say the beauty of baseball is there's no ties. You play until you're done. And I would think with YD, you've got a team full of just great young ball players. You've got a manager. All the managers in the Cape League are really, in my experience so far, they're sort of like old baseball guys who know the game really well and love the game. So I think it's got to be killing them to tie one game, to tie 2 within your first 9. I would think has to be incredibly frustrating, especially because last night was a game they could have won.
Now let's talk. That's the Eastern Division. Let's talk about the Western Division. Wareham in the lead at 6-2 right now. The Kettleers following 1 game behind them at 5-3 heading into tonight's contest. The Bourne Braves at 4-4, right in the middle and right at 500. Followed by Hyannis 4-3, losers to the Kettleers last night as we mentioned, and then Falmouth 2-5. The Kettleers will get a look at Falmouth early next week. They seem to have been struggling so far, but the Gatemen in the lead. But again, it seems like that storm cloud coming in where they have 3 guys going to Team USA in the near future.
Yeah, certainly. They're not going to be the same team within the next few weeks. I think them and Cotuit belong at the top of the division right now, but I think they're moving in opposite directions. I think Wareham's losing some of their top-end talent, and I think Cotuit's really going to pick some up in the next few days. It starts with Tolia and Schumann and Lincoln, and then it just more guys come from Omaha, more quality bats and quality arms. So I think definitely Wareham picking up wins now is incredibly important for them in terms of sort of jostling in the standings, because I think they're talent-wise, once you drop those USA guys, a team that projects in the middle of the pack for me.
So there you go. They looking like a team that's in the middle of the pack, but we'll see. We're going to update you on a couple of those Omaha guys in just a couple moments. Let's talk last night's results. As I mentioned earlier, YD and Brewster tying at 4. I'm going to ask you about that game in a second. It seems like I have an interesting storyline, if you will. Obviously, we mentioned the Kettleers 10-4 over Hyannis. Bourne 4-2 over Falmouth. Again, the Commodores in the bottom of their division now, tied with Orleans for the worst record in the Cape Cod League. And then Wareham 6-3 win over Chatham at home. And then Harwich Mariners 4-3 over Orleans last night. This YD game, it seemed like they had it in the bag, and then they didn't.
Yeah, they're just having trouble closing games. I mean, the doubleheader here, both games they had lead, both games they let the Kettleers come back and win. And last night, yeah, they were up 3-0. in the 5th inning. They looked like they were cruising. Then they gave up 2 in the bottom of the 5th, and sort of they were right. It was right back into a ball game, and then they extended it to 4-2, and then they gave up 2 more runs. So it was just, I think it's just trouble down the stretch of games. It's trouble closing, which is something that you're going to have to solve if you want to win in this league, because teams don't quit on games here,
right.
Which is something I've really appreciated so far, just watching those tough competitive games down the stretch. So I think the lead is safe, and they've had trouble. They haven't been blowing teams out and then blowing 6 or 7 run leads, but blowing 2 or 3 run leads consistently is a real problem for them.
And we saw it here too, where they gave up 2 hits and then just walked 5 Kettleers in a row. They don't quit in games like you mentioned, but it just seems like they have a tendency to give them away. Of course, that's a team that the Kettleers will travel to tomorrow night at 5 o'clock from Red Wilson Field in Dennis, Yarmouth, right a couple towns over here from here. Now let's talk about Omaha, the College World Series. There's been some biblical rain going on in the Nebraska area. The Plains region of the United States, not used to this kind of precipitation, but nonetheless here, it seems like there's been a delay almost every day.
Yeah, baseball gods are funny like that. It's unfortunate for people who want to watch the College World Series. It's unfortunate for guys like us who want to see the guys in Omaha get down here. I think pretty much it's only good for farmers, and I think even for them, too much rain. I'm not a biochemist or whoever would study that, but I think at this point they're ready for it to stop raining. They're ready to get an NCAA champion and get focused on the Cape League.
You can imagine, speaking of getting folks down the Cape League, the Texas Longhorns eliminated by the Florida Gators last night. A couple of Longhorns on this Cotuit roster, according to the official website. Duke Ellis and Ryan Reynolds, they've been eliminated, and they're expected on the Cape at some point, probably in the next week or two. Of course, no rush. Got to fly over here. Maybe get some rest wouldn't hurt either after a long college season that ended in Omaha. With that said, the Florida Gators are moving on. They eliminated Texas. 4 Kettleers on that Florida roster. Andrew Baker, Keenan Bell, Will Dalton, and Brady Smith will move on for the Gators. So pretty cool to see a team going that far. Hopefully won't delay their arrival too long. It's one of those dilemmas, how much can you root for guys that you want here but are stuck in Nebraska right now. Arkansas is currently playing as we speak. We mentioned Bryce Bonin for the Razorbacks. He pitched against Ryan Reynolds in a game earlier this week. Pretty ironic there. Cotuit matchup potentially. And then Jordan McFarland on the Razorbacks as well. They're currently in action right now against Texas Tech, and the Razorbacks took an early lead in Omaha. Well, that'll just about do it for our pregame show here. Weather's looking nice. Some clouds overhead, but it's in the 70s. Should be a beautiful night for a ball game.
Oh, certainly, yeah. It's always a beautiful day. This is a beautiful setting for a game, and when you got good weather, it's that much better.
Got the clinic night going on here at Lowell Park, so a lot of the kids in the dugout, one of the highlights of the season for them, kids in the summer clinics just finishing up school. Congratulations to all those finishing up final exams out there on our live stream. That'll just about do it for Ben and myself. On behalf of my partner Ben Fisher, I'm Zach Capel, and let's send it up to our broadcast booth. Our broadcasters Sam Niederman and Sam Brief will get you ready for the game, then we'll take a quick break for the national anthem before we get set for the first pitch and starting lineups. So now Sam and Sam, guys, take it away.
Thanks, guys. So Dilly was the rallying cry for the Kettleers yesterday. The Ole Miss Rebel, Thomas Dillard, is red hot for Cotuit. Yesterday, he tallied 4 RBIs and a 2-run blast into the Hyannis night sky, and that gave Cotuit its 5th W of the season. And today, a very familiar opponent. For the second time in 4 days, the Kettleers are going to take on the Orleans Firebirds. Welcome on in, folks. I'm Sam Brief alongside Sam Niederman, bringing you all of today's action, and of course, all of the action for the rest of the season as well. And Sam, we know Coach Mike Roberts says games are really won in the 8th and 9th innings, and yesterday there's no doubt with 3 in the 8th, 4 runs in the 9th, Cotuit won that game late.
Cotuit stepped up and grabbed that bull by the horns last night, Sam. No doubt about it. Thomas Dillard and Zach Bierman, the back-to-back home runs at the top of the 8th inning to give the Kettleers a 6-3 lead at the time. Heading into the 9th, they ran away with it with 4 more tacked on, a 10-4 win. Kettleers had the pedal to the metal all the way in the last 2 frames of that game. Was really impressed about the pop of that offense. And it really goes to show that the long ball might be the #1 source of run scoring for the Ketts this season. 8 home runs for the Kettleers already to start in 8 games. That's tops in the Cape League. With more pop being added into the lineup tonight, I think we're going to see a lot of home runs the rest of the season.
So that back-to-back jacks, first time since last year for Cotuit. Again, it was Thomas Dillard and Zach Bierman in the top of the 8th, pretty much putting that game to bed. That ended up being a 10-4 win for the Kettleers in a game that was really notched at 3-3 for almost the entire time in the middle part of that game. 3 runs in the 8th, 4 in the 9th, and then Cotuit ended up winning 10-4. The opponent tonight, the Orleans Firebirds, who, Sam, they kind of limp into this one. 2-5. They came off a tough loss yesterday against the Harwich Mariners, and this is a team with a lot of potential. We know they're waiting on some guys as well from the College World Series, but right now the results aren't quite there.
Yeah, Orleans, they're better than a 2-5 record. That's definitely true, and we were talking with their broadcasters that we've gotten to know over the last couple of matchups, and it was a good conversation, and those guys were saying, hey, it's been kind of a tough start for Orleans. It's been a road start for Orleans. 7 games played. They played 5 of them on the road, make it 6 including this one. They've been playing away from home a ton. The offense just hasn't been there. They've been getting guys on base. They just haven't been able to score them. They've scored the least amount of runs in the league with 26. Pitching has been so-so with a 4+ ERA. Kelly Nicholson's a veteran manager. He'll have these guys ready when it comes to mid-July and the playoff races really heat up. All you got to do is be in the top 8 and not be the worst in your division to make the postseason. And we know the Firebirds are well revered as one of the top contenders in the East and in the Cape League overall. It's just an uncharacteristic start for them, but the good news if you're a Firebirds fan is that the cavalry is coming back in. They've got their bats that have come in from Vandy, 3 fresh players in the lineup today for Orleans that we did not see the last time when Cotuit went into Eldridge Park and got the win. So a little bit of a different look, a new week, Orleans trying to get back on track.
And talk about cavalry. For the Kettleers, part of that cavalry has already arrived. That's Michael Tolia out of UCLA, a returning Kettleer, really one of the best offensive players in the country. He had to stay out in school there on the trimester system out in Southern California, so he just arrived late last night, and he'll be in the lineup today batting 4th. This past season for the Bruins, a .336 batting average, 11 home runs, 58 runs batted in, 133 total bases. He'll be batting cleanup, and we'll have the rest of that Cotuit Kettleer lineup for you in just a minute. We're going to pause real quick for the national anthem, and on the other side, it's the Kettleers and the Firebirds right here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Welcome back into Lowell Park. We are just about 4 minutes away from first pitch between the Firebirds and the Kettleers meeting for the second time this season. Sam Brief alongside Sam Niederman will have all the action for you this evening. And to recap that last time, the Saturday game, it was a very controversial game on Saturday night over at Eldridge Park in Orleans. Firebirds struck first. Spencer Steer, who's in the lineup for them today, he had a 2-run shot in the bottom of the second to put the Firebirds up 2. Will Robertson responded in the top of the third with an opposite field home run to tie it up. And then in the top of the fourth, Adam Oviedo with a very controversial grand slam that many eyewitness accounts say was foul. and certainly caused a lot of controversy with Kelly Nicholson, the Orleans manager, and a lot of the Orleans fans. But that was a 6-2 win for Cotuit. Some excellent pitching for the Kettleers sealed the deal, and they come into this game 5-3. Pitching matchup for you today. Looks like we might be in for a pitching duel. On the mound for the first time this season for the Kettleers is Chris Lincoln, the tall righty out of UC Santa Barbara, 6'4", 190. He's a junior. This past season, a 2-3 record in 11 starts, 3.49 ERA, 54 Ks, and 27 walks. On the other side, another player appearing for his team for the first time, it's Graham Stinson out of Duke, originally from Norcross, Georgia. He's a big boy, a big southpaw, 6'5", 250 junior. He had 98 strikeouts to just 19 walks this past season for the Blue Devils, a solid 1.89 ERA, and a 5-1 record in his 4 starts for the Blue Devils. So it could be a battle of the Titans today on the bump. And, of course, Kelly Nicholson, in his 21st season, he leads the Firebirds out here up against Mike Roberts, and his Cotuit Kettleers will have the Firebirds lineup for you in just a bit. But, Sam, this pitching matchup surely looks like it might be a pitching duel today between Lincoln and Stinson.
Very well could be a low-scoring ball game. Excited to see both of these pitchers that have really top-of-the-line stuff. You talk about Chris Lincoln first for Cotuit. Could be a guy that could be in our rotation for the rest of the season. 6'4", rising junior at UC Santa Barbara. Had a nice 2018, making 11 starts, going 2-3 with a 3.49 ERA for the Gauchos. He's big. He's got velocity. He's got control. He's developed. He's played in summer ball before, West Coast League last year, coming to the Cape League this season, looking to develop with the Kettleers. I think he has a great chance to do that under Coach Mike Roberts and Jerry Weinstein, working with the pitchers and catchers. Lincoln, you just see this guy when we first walked into the parking lot here at Lowell Park, towers above everybody. He's lean, he's strong, he's long. 6'4", that's a perfect kind of pitching frame. And then on the other side, Stinson for Duke, a lefty, 6'5" in his own right. This guy's got velocity. That's the name of the game for him. Sits in the low to mid-90s, 93 to 95 or so with his fastball. When he really wants to, he can top out at 97. That's what he did last year from Duke. In the postseason this year, College World Series run for the Blue Devils, really good through the regionals, made some big starts for the Blue Devils. Out there in Athens against Georgia, had a big inning against them, went 4 2/3, struck them out 8 times, shut them down. That's the kind of pitching that's brought to the table from Graham Stinson, and Orleans is in need of it. Going to be a really good pitching matchup today.
And Stinson's younger brother, Cooper, is actually going to be joining him next year in Durham as a pitcher for Duke. Let's have that Orleans Firebird lineup for you right now. It's a little different than we saw last time. They added 3 guys from Vanderbilt since Saturday. They're all in the lineup today. Top of the lineup, pretty similar to the last time. It's going to be Brandon White, the center fielder out of West Virginia, to lead things off. He has a .261 batting average, but leads the team with 9 strikeouts as the Kettleers take the field with Chris Lincoln beginning his warm-ups with catcher Ronaldo Pastrana. In the 2-hole for the Firebirds, J.J. Blade. He's one of those Vandy kids, a .368 batting average this past season in Nashville. Pat DeMarco, also out of Vanderbilt. He's in left field. He's played quite a bit this season, 6 for 14 from the dish, one of the few consistent hitters for the Firebirds so far this season. Batting cleanup is the big power hitter in the middle of the order. Logan Wyatt, the Louisville Cardinal, has 2 home runs on the season. At the 5-hole and playing catcher is Jax Groshans out of Kansas. In the DH spot and batting 6th is Phil Clark, the third out of that Vanderbilt trio. 7, 8, 9 looks like this. Justin Levy out of Louisville, Spencer Steer out of Oregon. He burned the Kettleers for a 2-run home run, a moonshot in the second inning of the game on Saturday night. And then in the 9-hole, rounding it out, is Ricky Martinez, the shortstop out of Tennessee, .222 on the season with 4 strikeouts. Kelly Nicholson is the head man for the Firebirds. He's in his 13th season as their manager, 17th overall in Orleans. Previously served as their pitching coach. He's the longest tenured manager in the modern era for Orleans. Known as one of the nicest guys in the Cape League, and also one of the most successful. His first season as manager, he won 30 games and the Cape Cod League Championship, and of course, Coach of the Year honors as well. Chris Lincoln, right now on the bump, warming up for the Kettleers. The first time we're getting a look at him in maroon and white, and boy, does he look good in it, usually in that royal blue uniform for the Gauchos of Santa Barbara. But now he suits up for Mike Roberts' squad, and the defense behind him looks like this. Around the infield, left to right, it's Eric Jones at third, Adam Oviedo at short, Corey Wood at second, Zach Bierman at first, identical to what we saw last night in Hyannis. In the outfield, Thomas Dillard gets the start in left, Bo Brundage in center, Will Robertson in right, and the battery mate of Chris Lincoln is Ronaldo Pastrana, the new catcher for the Kettleers out of Marshall. DHing today for the Kets is Michael Tolia. We'll talk about him at length later on. This is his second season with the Kettleers, first time we're seeing him in action here in the summer of 2018. One of the best players in the Pac-12, first team honors this past season out west, and now he returns for the second season here at Lowell Park. It's a beautiful day at Lowell Park, as it very often is in the summer. 74 degrees, sunny, about 15-mile-per-hour winds, the wind blowing out just a bit. And we are ready for action. For the second time this season, it's the Firebirds and the Kettleers. Cotuit looking for its sixth win of the season. And the first opponent for Chris Lincoln is Brandon White, the West Virginia Mountaineer, who takes a first pitch strike on the inside corner, an 0-1 count for White. Orleans in the traveling bright red uniforms, white block Orleans with black trim across the front, a little number tucked under the Orleans with numbers, no name on the back. Here comes the 0-1 from Lincoln. It's a fastball high at 95 for ball one. White pants with a solo pinstripe down the side for the Firebirds. Bright red helmets to go with it with the black O across the front. Lincoln sets for the 1-1. Long delivery. There it is, swung on. It's a chopper on the left side, botched by Eric Jones at third. He picks it up, but not in time to make the throw. The speedy White beats it out. That'll be an error on Eric Jones, and leadoff runner is aboard for the Firebirds.
We said all season long, normally Eric Jones, a steady hand over there at third base. That time unable to make a one-hop play off the heel of his mitt, and that'll go down as an E5 as White, always dangerous on the base paths, gets on to lead off for Orleans.
White was 1 for 4 his last time out against the Kettleers, and he reaches base this time on the error. Here's J.J. Blade out of Vanderbilt getting his first at-bat as a Firebird. He takes a first pitch ball a little outside. Kettleers in the typical home uniforms, all white with the maroon caps. Kettleers in block lettering across the front and pinstripes up and down the uniform. Lincoln sets. Here's the 1-0. There goes White. It's a swing and a miss. The throw is not in time. Pastrana tried to gun down White, but the speedy Brandon White beats out the tag on the relay from Pastrana to Oviedo, and now an early runner in scoring position for Orleans.
Wow, that was a good little battle there. I'm sure the scouts enjoyed that. Pastrana's got a good arm behind the plate, and White could fly out there. That was close down at the bag. I thought Pastrana got him. Bang, bang play. The call made out there by Michael Finn, who's working with Sam Finn across the diamond on this Cape League crew, but a good throw for Pastrana. I thought it was on target and on time. Unfortunately, just wasn't able to get the call.
Ronaldo Pastrana last year with the Thundering Herd of Marshall picked off 20 of 37 runners attempting to steal on him. He's a finalist for the Johnny Bench Award for the best catcher in the nation, one of 3 finalists. And this one cracked on the left side. It's down for a base hit into the outfield. Brandon White will score easily as he strolls into home, and that's a stand-up RBI double for J.J. Blade in his first at-bat as a Firebird. It's 1-0 Orleans early on.
Wow, that error already coming back to haunt Cotuit. As White comes around to score, wasn't able to get him at second base. The small ball working there for Orleans, moving the runner up via the stolen base, taking a page out of the Cotuit playbook. And Kelly Nicholson's side ahead on the road early.
1-0 Orleans, top of the first, just 3 minutes into the ball game. Here's Pat DeMarco, another Vandy kid. That was the first at-bat of the season for J.J. Blade. He led Vanderbilt this past season with a .368 batting average. The Commodores were much, much better with him in the lineup, a .690 winning percentage before Blade got injured. When he wasn't in the lineup, just .319. And it's 1-0 Firebirds early. Here's another Vandy kid, Pat DeMarco. He's 6 for 14 on the season, a really nice start for the left fielder out of Staten Island, New York. Lincoln sets after a quick mound visit from Pastrana, and he delivers a first pitch curveball for strike one. DeMarco, 5'9", 190, a rising sophomore, as I said, a New York kid out of Staten Island. Fitting that he was drafted by the Yankees in the 24th round of the draft last year, opting to go to school and then try the majors. Here's the 0-1. Big swing and a miss from DeMarco, and Lincoln has an 0-2 advantage. A lot of new faces today, both offensively and defensively for both sides. Lincoln, if you're a Kettleers fan, that name might not be too familiar for you. He's out of UC Santa Barbara, 6'4", 190. A tall, lanky pitcher that can crank it up in the mid-90s. Here comes the 0-2 to DeMarco. Swing and a miss, strike three on a curveball that broke way outside. A drop third strike. Pastrana guns it over to Bierman to get the out. And wow, Chris Lincoln really had DeMarco fooled there on a 3-pitch strikeout.
Boom, he beat him on every single pitch. Pastrana with the easy throw down to first to take care of the drop third strike. Good breaking stuff on that at-bat for Chris Lincoln.
Here's Logan Wyatt now, the big slugging first baseman out of Louisville, a lefty to go up against the righty Lincoln. First pitch to Wyatt, swung on and smacked out into left field, down for a base hit. Rounding third, headed for home now is Blade. He reaches home. Now the relay throw back to second, tag applied in time to get Logan Wyatt. So the Kettleers defense able to muster an out. But after Orleans adds its second run out in left field, Thomas Dillard had a little trouble getting it, which is why Chris Constantine, the Orleans third base coach, was waving around Blade to get the run. But nice recovery from the Kettleer defense to get an all-important out number two.
That was a tricky play that time for Cotuit. Unfortunately, Dillard unable to handle the hop out there as it got away from him. That cost the run. Otherwise, Blade would have been held up at third. But a good job by Eric Jones on the relay to get him at second base.
Swing and a miss from Jax Groshans. An 0-1 count with 2 outs. If you're just joining us, you missed quite a bit of action in the first 5 minutes or so of this game. Already 2-0 Orleans on an RBI double from J.J. Blade and then an RBI single from Logan Wyatt, who was then thrown out, trucking into second. Here's the 0-1. It's in the dirt, ball 1. Jax Groshans at the plate now. .250 batter on the season, 2 home runs. He was hitless last time out against Cotuit. That was Saturday night, a 6-2 Kettleer win. Lincoln sets out of the windup with the clear base paths. The long windup. Here's the delivery. Swung on, and it's chopped foul. A 1-2 count now with 2 outs. Lincoln, originally out of Moreno Valley, California, graduate of Rancho Verde High School. Last summer, played for a great team, the Walla Walla Sweets of the West Coast League, one of the great team names in all of baseball. And he readies for the 1-2 with 2 outs. He kicks, he fires. Swung on, chopped to the left side, scooped up by Eric Jones. Guns it across the diamond for out number 3. But Orleans strikes first. Some clutch hitting in the top of the first. And it's 2-0 Firebirds entering the home half of the first. This is Cotuit Kettleer Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. back here in Cotuit, a busy first inning on the base paths for Orleans. They strike for 2 in the top of the first, and the Kettleers already in an 0-2 hole before even getting to the dish. Here's the Kettleer lineup for you today that'll try to come back from that rough start on the mound. It'll be Will Robertson leading things off. He led us off yesterday against Hyannis, red hot, an 8-game on-base streak for Robertson, and a home run the last time out against the Firebirds. In the 2-hole, Dilly, Thomas Dillard. 4 RBIs yesterday, including a 2-run home run in the top of the 8th. He bats second. Zach Bierman at first base. He will bat third, also had a home run last night. In the 4-hole, for the first time this season, we get a look at Michael Tolia, a returning Kettleer out of UCLA. He bats cleanup. Bo Brundage in center. He's batting 5th. Eric Jones, the 6-hole hitter at third base. Ronaldo Pastrana, 3 for 7, 3 RBIs on the season. He bats 7th. He's our catcher today. Corey Wood and Adam Oviedo round out the lineup, middle of the infield. Wood at second, Oviedo at short. They bat 8 and 9. And here comes big Will Robertson looking to extend that 8-game on-base streak, and he'll dig up against Graham Stinson, 6'5" lefty out of Duke, who was dynamite this past season for the Blue Devils. First pitch from Stinson is a bit outside, a 1-0 count, 94 miles per hour. On that fastball, Stinson is pumping gas early on. Here comes the 1-0 from Stinson. He kicks and fires, swung on, and it's tapped out into left field. It's down, but just foul. We'll do it again with a 1-1 count. Orleans defense for you. Jax Groshans, the catcher out of Kansas, is the battery mate of Stinson. Justin Levy gets the start at third base. Ricky Martinez at short. Spencer Steer, who hit a home run last time out against the Kettleers, at second base. And Logan Wyatt, the Louisville Cardinal, is at first. The outfield, very Vanderbilt heavy. Commodores on the corners of that outfield. DeMarco in left, Blade in right, and Brandon White, the West Virginia Mountaineer, is in center. He's shaded off to the left right now against Robertson, a noted pull hitter who takes ball 2.
Yeah, that is a heavy shade out there for White in center field.
He's pretty much
he is
in left
the
center
gap.
field.
And you look at the outfield shifted way far over for Robertson to go oppo here, and traditionally by our count, he's a pull hitter.
Here comes the 2-1 from Stinson. It's outside, ball 3. You almost wonder if the Orleans scouting report was just kind of flipped accidentally because Robertson is a very noted pull hitter, and right now the center fielder White is in dead left center field. The right fielder Blade is shifted over to the left. There's a juicy opening in the corner of the outfield for Robertson if he wants it. Here's the 3-1. It runs inside and hits Robertson on the forearm. He grimaces as he takes first base. Take one for the team there, Will, but the leadoff runner aboard.
Once
here's
again,
Thomas Dillard.
Will Robertson delivering. That's the 9th consecutive game that he's reached base. He walked twice last night against Hyannis. He got a hit in all 7 of the first games of the season. Each game this year, he's found a way to get on base. He does his job in that leadoff spot quite well. Also, to note on the shift out there in the last at-bat is now they move back to normal depth straight up. Probably because he hit that opposite field home run at Orleans. That had to be why they were playing so heavy for an oppo hit from Robertson, the left-handed batter.
Here's Thomas Dillard, the switch-hitting left fielder out of Ole Miss, looking to tie this game up. Big swing and a miss there on the first pitch he sees from Stinson. He's in an 0-1 count. So yesterday, Dilly was the story of the game in a 10-4 win for the Kettleers. Finished up 2 for 4 with a home run, 4 runs batted in, also a 2 RBI single back in the 3rd inning. Robertson takes his lead at first. It's 2-0 Orleans. There's a strike right at the knees of Thomas Dillard. He didn't swing at it, and he's in an 0-2 hole.
Graham Stinson looking pretty good on the mound with that fastball to come back in this at-bat after hitting Robertson.
Robertson takes his lead. No one out, bottom of the 1st. Stinson set out at the stretch, gets the signal. He'll check on the runner with a throw to first. And Robertson back without having to slide. Thomas Dillard had kind of been sneaky good, as we said, for the Kettleers until last night when we finally saw his big bat really take control. Now, as Stinson steps off the mound, wipes some sweat off his brow. and now gets set after the brief timeout.
Interesting with 2 strikes, Dillard choking up here.
Here comes the 0-2 from Stinson. Little check swing from Dillard. He went, and it's strike 3. A confusing strikeout as Thomas Dillard seemed like he took a few moments to sort of settle in on that one. Looked like a fastball right down the middle, little half swing from Dillard. Whichever way you want to call it, it's strike 3. And now here comes Zach Bierman.
Tom Ryberg behind the plate was very pedestrian with that strike 3 call. He pointed as if it was strike 1 or 2 and then kind of went, yep, go back to the dugout.
That's Tom Ryberg behind home plate. Michael Finn, our first base umpire. Sam Finn, our third base umpire. More on him in a moment. Pickoff attempt. Robertson just back in time. He was ready to take his secondary lead. Looked like he got caught off guard, but slid under the tag, and he's safe. Sam Finn was the home plate umpire last time these two teams played on that controversial grand slam by Adam Oviedo. That was probably a little bit foul. Here comes the first pitch to Zach Bierman, but first another pickoff attempt. Stinson fooling me there. Bierman with a home run last night, combining with Dillard for back-to-back jacks in the top of the 8th. Dillard a 2-run shot to put the Kettleers up 5-3, and then Bierman adding to it with a solo shot on the next pitch. Still awaiting his first pitch from Stinson, and he fouls it straight back into the splash zone of the parking lot, and he's facing an 0-1 count. Bierman, the junior first baseman out of Coastal Carolina. 308 on the season, 6 runs batted in. And he has thrived in situations with runners in scoring position. Right now, he just has Robertson at first with the Kettleers down 2 early on. Stinson sets, wheels, and deals. Swung on and poked in foul territory on the left side, coming over the third baseman, Levy. But it's out of play into a group of fans, and we'll do it again. No balls, 2 strikes to Bierman. Orleans 2-5. They're in the gutter of the East. Cotuit 5-3, just a game back of Wareham at the top of the West Division. Kettleers coming off a 10-4 rout of Hyannis last night. Orleans was walked off last night against Harwich, 4-3. Here's the 0-2. It's in the dirt. Groshans keeps it in front of him. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes. So last night at Harwich, Orleans ran into some mighty fine Mariners pitching. Harwich leads the league with a 2.16 ERA. The only team that's been better on the mound this season than Cotuit, with a staff ERA of 2.96. Last night for Harwich against Orleans, it was Garrett Stallings out of Tennessee, who was just superb. Here comes the 1-2 to Bierman. 1 out, man on first. And again, for the 3rd time in this at-bat, Stinson checks on Robertson to no avail. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. Orleans scrapped together a run in the top of the 8th to tie the game up 3-3, but then Chris Galland of the Mariners walked it off in the 9th with a home run to put Harwich on top of the East Division with a 5-3 record after missing the playoffs last year. Might be an upstart team in the East. 1-2 swung and missed by Zachary Bierman. That's the 2nd straight strikeout for Graham Stinson, and he looks really good early on.
Yeah, Stinson getting the better of 2 of the better power hitters in the Kettleers lineup, and this will bring room for Michael Tolia to come up to the plate, his first at-bat of the 2018 season.
Big number 20, 6'5", 210, switch hitter out of UCLA, originally from Gig Harbor, Washington. And Tolia, one of the best power hitters in the country. Certainly one of the best players in the Pac-12, digs in for the first time this season in a Cotuit uniform. First pitch to him is way outside for ball 1. Last year on the Cape, Tolia was .248, 6 doubles, 27 runs batted in, a .457 slugging percentage, .306 on base percentage. And he took a big leap his past year with the Bruins. .336 from the dish, 11 homers, and almost 60 runs batted in. Here's the 1-0, fastball on the outside corner, called for strike 1. Tolia certainly a welcome sight for the Kettleers. We've been talking about how Cotuit's awaiting that cavalry of some of the UCLA guys like Tolia, and of course some of the College World Series guys still out in Omaha. Some guys from Florida and Arkansas, but Tolia is a big addition to the middle of the lineup. He swings and misses at the 3rd pitch. Fooled on a breaking pitch. It's a 1-2 count with 2 outs for Tolia. a basketball star in high school up in the Pacific Northwest. That tall, lanky switch hitter, almost destined for stardom from day one. Gets in his very open stance with the left leg just beyond the right. And here comes the 1-2. It's in the dirt. Ball 2. Tolia was picked by the Rockies in the 35th round of the draft in 2016. Would have been picked many rounds higher if teams didn't expect him to go to college. And one of many high school players to say he's not going to go to the majors. He's going to go to college, but teams will take a chance just in case, try and woo him with money. Tolia didn't bite. Here's the 2-2. Outside for ball 3, Groshans tries to gun down the runner, not in time. Robertson's back, dirties up his jersey, and it's a full count for Tolia. Chase Strumpf, one of Tolia's teammates over at UCLA, their second baseman, is set to arrive soon in Cotuit. Not sure exactly when he'll come, but he's also a returner. 7 home runs for the Kettleers last year. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Kettleers down a pair. Here's the pitch, swung on a grounder right to the shortstop Martinez. He gathers, throws to first, just in time for the 3rd out. And the Kettleers will head to the top half of the 2nd, still trailing 2-0. We'll be right back on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Welcome back to Lowell Park. 2-0 Firebirds through an inning of play. Chris Lincoln, who was a little shaken up in that first inning, is back on to work the second. He'll face Phil Clark, Justin Levy, and Spencer Steer in this inning. Here's Clark, the lefty out of Vanderbilt, takes the first pitch and hammers it out into right field, just past a diving Corey Wood. And for the second straight inning, the leadoff man is aboard for the Firebirds.
First pitch swinging there for Clark, and he's able to poke it through the right side. Diving effort by Corey Wood wasn't going to be enough. And Chris Lincoln having a little bit of trouble getting the leadoff man down. He's going to have to go right back to the stretch, just like in the first.
Next opponent for Lincoln is Justin Levy, third baseman out of Louisville. Batting tree on the season, as Pat Foley would say, and ball 1 comes in low. A little more on Lincoln if you're unfamiliar with him, because we've yet to see him this season. Out of UC Santa Barbara, 19 appearances, 11 starts this past season for the Gauchos, which I believe to be one of the best mascots in sports. Here's a fly ball out to center field. Brundage is under it. He makes the catch, and the runner, Clark, will stay at first. 11 starts, 2-3 record, a 3.49 ERA for Lincoln. Struck out 54, walked 27. Last summer, played for the Walla Walla Sweets of the West Coast League. I love that name.
That's a really
This
good name.
guy plays for teams with good names, between the Gauchos, the Walla Walla Sweets, and now the Cotuit Kettleers. And here's Spencer Steer, who takes a first pitch a little outside for ball 1. Last time out against the Kettleers, Steer blasted a 2-run home run back at Eldridge Park to give the Firebirds a 2-0 lead. And he blasts this one, but it's foul down the left field line. It's a 1-1 count. Those were the only 2 runs the Firebirds were able to muster against the Kettleers. 6 unanswered followed on home runs from Robertson and Oviedo to put the season series at 1-0 in favor of Cotuit. Here comes the 1-1 to Spencer Steer. It's in the dirt. The ball skips past Pastrana, and Phil Clark takes second base.
Yeah, Ronaldo not able to get over and block that one cleanly. He got a piece of it, but wasn't able to hang on, and as a result, Runner and Clark is able to move down and take an extra base, and that played a big factor in the opening frame as Orleans stole with Brandon White, and immediately were able to plate him after that.
It's a 2-1 count right now to Spencer Steer, the Oregon Duck. Lincoln fires it in there, and it's just inside for ball 3. This is the second of 3 games within this week against Orleans. Played them last Saturday night, and here comes the 3-1. Swung on, and it's a foul on the right side for a full count. Saturday night, these 2 teams faced off for the first time this year. Today is Wednesday, and then Orleans will come back to Lowell Park on Saturday.
Yeah, a lot of early season matchups in the East for the Kettleers, and particularly against Orleans, getting them out of the way early.
Lincoln looks back at the runner at second. That's Phil Clark. Here's the pitch, swung on, a ground ball to Eric Jones at third. He's going to lob it across the diamond for the easy out. First, he made sure Phil Clark held it second, and now 2 outs.
Good look back by Jones to hold the runner. 2 down, and Chris Lincoln starting to settle in a little better.
Here's Ricky Martinez now. He's the 9-hole hitter for the Firebirds. After him, we'll head back to the top of the lineup. Martinez, shortstop, coming to the University of Tennessee next fall. A .222 hitter this season with 4 strikeouts. First pitch to Martinez, swung on and ripped into left field, down for a base hit. Clark rounding third. He's going to truck into home easily. He slides without much of an effort by the Kettleers defense. And at the same time, Martinez coasts into second, and now it's 3-0 Orleans.
Oh, that's tough. A 2-out RBI for the 9 batter in the Orleans lineup. Martinez comes through. Clark able to score 3-0 early on. Chris Lincoln, unfortunately, unable to beat some of these hitters. 4 hits through the first 9 batters that he's faced.
Now back to the dangerous top of the lineup, starting with Brandon White, the speedy center fielder out of West Virginia. First pitch to White, just inside for ball 1. So 2 runs for the Firebirds in the top of the first. 1 run here in the second so far with 2 outs. They lead it 3-0. Here in the second in Cotuit. Breaking pitch, that drops into the zone for strike 1 from Lincoln as he looks to get out of this inning. 3 runs on 4 hits already for the Firebirds. Goose eggs across the scoreboard for Cotuit with 2 errors. Here's the pitch from Lincoln. Breaks into the zone again, strike 2. Looks like that breaking pitch is working well for Lincoln right now. Maybe struggling a bit more with the fastball that the Firebirds have been jumping all over. He comes set. 1-2 count with 2 outs. Martinez takes his lead at second. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So Chris Lincoln escapes the second, but not before giving up another Firebirds run. And it's 3-0 Orleans heading into the home half of the second. We'll be right back with more Cotuit Kettleer baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Back here in the bottom of the second, Cotuit facing a 3-0 deficit right now. Due up in this inning, 5-6-7 for the Kettleers. Bo Brundage, Eric Jones, and Ronaldo Pastrana. They're going to face off again against the big southpaw out of Duke, Graham Stinson. First up is Brundage. Here's the pitch from Stinson. It's a fastball right down the pipe for strike one. We're pleased to be joined by Kayla LaCourie of the Cape Harmony. Welcome on into the broadcast booth.
Thank you.
Harmony sang the national anthem today here at Lowell Park. Here's the 0-1, swing and a miss for strike two. So how many times have you guys sung the national anthem this year?
This was our second time here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You enjoy it?
Yep. It's a lot of fun.
Where do you go to school?
I go to school at Berkeley College of Music.
Awesome. And you enjoying it out here in the Cape?
Yes, I love Cape Cod. We love Cotuit especially.
Fastball right down the pipe, taken by Brundage for strike three. So first batter is an out there for Graham Stinson, his third strikeout. Is this your first time out in Cape Cod, or you come out regularly?
This is my second year here, but I've only spent 2 summers here, so I'm still kind of a newbie.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell us a bit about the Cape Harmony.
So Cape Harmony is an all-female a cappella group, and we perform all around Cape Cod. We have a weekly concert series where we sing in Hyannis, Cotuit, Chatham, and Falmouth. And our schedule is online at capeharmony.org. And we sing at private parties and stuff like that, so we're singing all summer long. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Eric Jones digs in. He's got an 0-1 count. Swings through that one for strike two, 94-mile-an-hour heat from Stinson. So what kinds of venues do you usually sing at around the Cape?
We sing in a lot of churches on main streets is where our weekly summer concert series are. But we also sing at golf clubs, nursing homes, people's houses, stuff like that. So a variety of places.
Here's the 0-2 to Jones. Swung on, chopped on the left side. It's just foul as the third baseman Levy scoops it up just past that. So it's just a strike. We'll do it again with no balls, 2 strikes. I'm not too familiar with singing terms, but are you a soprano, tenor, bass? I think those are all
you're whipping
musical
them out.
terms.
So I'm actually an alto. So tenor and bass are male voices. Tenor is high male, bass is low male, and then soprano is high female, and alto is low female. So
you're alto. So
Yep.
you're low female.
Yep.
And what does that mean in a cappella? Because I know a cappella you go no instruments, right? So it's all voices.
Yep. So that means I'm an alto too. So that
Eric
means I'm the
Jones,
lowest.
slaps this into right field. It's a base hit for the first time today. Kettleers get a base knock, and it's Eric Jones here in the second. So back to the singing.
Yeah.
So you're an alto,
Yes.
so low female.
Yes. So I'm singing the bass lines in the song. Yeah.
So national anthem, for example, what does that mean? How do you guys, what's the conception of performing it a cappella style?
Yeah. So we just layer harmonies on top of the melody. So normally the sopranos are the ones singing the melody. So that's what everyone knows. And then we just sing in harmony around that. So that means as an alto, I'm singing below the melody.
Ronaldo Pastrana next up for Cotuit. Eric Jones with that base knock into right field. Represents the first hit off Graham Stinson today as the Kettleers look to dig out of this 3-0 hole. Here in the bottom of the second, we're here with Kayla LaCourie of the Cape Harmony, an all-female a cappella group here on Cape Cod, sung the national anthem today. Are you a big baseball fan?
Yeah, I love baseball.
What's your team of choice in the majors?
The Red Sox, of course.
Of course.
Boston gal.
So you're from Boston, born and raised?
I'm actually from Orlando, but my
Right,
dad is from Boston, so we inherited the Red Sox loving in Orlando still.
As ball one comes in at the ankles of Pastrana, he's got a 1-0 count. Do you go to a lot of Red Sox games? I know you're in Orlando, but
Yeah. Well, when I'm at school, I go to a lot of games. We get student discounts and stuff, so it's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fenway.
Yep.
That is a sight. Here comes the 1-0 to Ronaldo Pastrana out of Marshall. It's a fastball outside for ball 2. Pastrana's been really good this season. 3 for 7 in his 7 plate appearances, 3 RBIs for the Kettleers. What about Cape Cod baseball? Have you been out to any games this summer other than just Cotuit?
We've been to Cotuit Kettleers games, and we also have been to one Hyannis Harbor Hawks game. But the Kettleers are our favorite, secretly.
That's the right answer. They're strike one to Pastrana. I mean, how could you beat Lowell
Yeah,
Park,
you
right?
can't.
Beautiful trees in the outfield. One of the most beautiful parks in America. Surely the most beautiful
Truly.
here on the Cape. Here comes the 2-1 to Ronaldo Pastrana from Stinson. It's a foul ball popped on the right side. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. A man on second in a 3-0 lead for the Firebirds. So you're a big Red Sox fan, so you don't like the Yankees.
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
me too. We can agree on that.
Love it.
Here comes the 2-2 from Stinson over to Ronaldo Pastrana. Swung on. It's another foul ball. We'll keep it here with 2 balls, 2 strikes. I can't really sing. I don't know if
okay.
you have any tips. Any general singing tips for the audience out there, for anyone listening who might not be able to sing?
Yeah.
So anyone looking to get into singing?
Well, the first rule is that anyone can sing. It's just
Really?
you in your head is telling you can't, but you can. So practicing with yourself is always great, in the shower, in the car. I think the easiest way to start singing is just listening to music and trying to emulate singers.
Pastrana struck out swinging, so now 2 outs with a man on first. When did you first get into singing?
I've been singing since I can remember. I think I was like 4 years old when I started singing, but I was seriously singing in high school.
Here comes the first pitch to Corey Wood. Swung on, it's a foul ball. Line shot down the left field line. No balls, 1 strike. And then in college, you're in the School of Music, so you deal with
Yep.
a lot of singers, a lot
Yep.
of pretty much every type of
instrument.
musician,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And Kayla, where are some of the girls from, the rest of the a cappella group
Yeah.
here on Cape Cod?
So we have girls from LA, Portland, Oregon. We have some girls from Plymouth. I'm trying to think, DC, Orlando, and from the Bay Area in California. I think that's everyone. So yeah, we're from all over.
Love it.
There's the 0-1 to Wood. It's a fastball down the pipe for strike 2. Wood in an 0-2 hole with 2 outs. A man on first again. Cotuit down 3-0. We're with Kayla of the Cape Harmony. So during the year, does the Cape Harmony sing when you guys are dispersed throughout the country? Is there a contingent that stays back here in Cape Cod?
Nope, we're just a summer group.
Summer group. No
Yep.
better time to sing than the summer.
Exactly.
As Wood grounds 1 to the right side, scooped up by Wyatt, the first baseman, and he taps on the bag without number 3. So it's 3-0 Orleans heading into the third. Kayla, thanks so much for joining
Thanks
us
for
here in the
having me.
broadcast booth. Enjoy singing your heart out all summer long.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with the top of the third here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Top of the third inning here in Cotuit, and a new pitcher on the mound for the Kettleers. It will be the right-hander out of Georgia Southern, Seth Schumann. to come on for his first appearance of the 2018 season. That'll be it for Chris Lincoln. He goes 2 innings, allowing 3 runs on 4 hits. Only 2 of those runs came across that were earned. A couple of errors in this game for Cotuit, hindering the Kettleers in the first inning. It's a 3-0 lead for the Orleans Firebirds. Lincoln out of the game. Seth Schumann in. Freshly added to this team as well, one of the 3 activations that we've had today. All 3 of them now going to play in this game. Lincoln, the starter, new. Michael Tolia, that's starting DH today, new. And Seth Schumann coming out of the bullpen here in the third, making his first appearance. He was just activated last night as the Kettleers bolster up their roster as we get into game number 9 of the season. And 2, 3, and 4 due up for the Orleans Firebirds here in the top of the third. J.J. Blade, Pat DeMarco, and Logan Wyatt all set to come to the plate for the Birds. And the Kets will be on the mound with Seth Schumann. Good to have you along with us. Sam Niederman here with you. Sam Brief along to my left. And a special thanks to Kayla LaCorey, who joined us in the last frame to talk about the Cape Cod Harmony, the all-female a cappella summer singing group here on the Cape. They did a great rendition of the national anthem before the game. So we thank Kayla again for her time up in the booth in the last inning. A pleasure to have her and a pleasure to have you as we get ready for this inning. Seth Schumann warming up on the mound, the right-hander out of Valdosta, Georgia, a Valdosta kid, a returning Kettleer. Played in 8 games for Cotuit last year, making 6 starts. A 1-2 record with a 6.35 earned run average. He comes back in a very similar day for most of these teams, or these 2 teams on the field, with Orleans getting 3 new players in their lineup from Vanderbilt, 3 new players on Cotuit today, all getting into the action as well. A long warm-up for Seth Schumann on the mound. He's ready to go, and we're ready for baseball here in the top of the third. Orleans up 3-0 on Cotuit as we're ready to begin the top of the third. Leading off, J.J. Blade, the right fielder out of Vandy. 1 for 1 with a run driven in his first time up. He had the RBI double, just the second batter of the game back in the first. Seth Schumann's right-handed windup and first pitch to Blade, a called strike on the outside corner. 86 miles an hour registered on the radar gun. Some darker clouds overhead here at Lowell Park. The 0-1 from Schumann in there again. Another fastball, this time at 90, and he's ahead of the count 0-2 on Blade. Good crowd here at Lowell. Filled up on the third base grandstand as usual. The 0-2 from Schumann, hit high in the air, popped up on the left side in foul ground. Eric Jones camped under it. He'll make the play, and that's out number 1, and Seth Schumann off to a good start.
Looking forward to seeing Schumann, a returning Kettleer, as you already said, Sam. And a lot of times with people who come in as returners, you see that progress right away because they come to the Cape, they learn a lot. You know, they take the lessons from the coaching staff, they play with wood bats if they're hitters, and then they go back to school.
Here's a first pitch swinging and a fly ball down in the right center field for a base knock from Pat DeMarco. A 1-out single for Orleans, 3rd consecutive inning that they put a runner on base. And there'll be 1 on and 1 out for Logan Wyatt. But we see Seth Schumann back on the mound, a guy who returns. And these pitchers, they develop, they go back to school. And usually when they return to the college ranks, after playing in a league as prestigious as the Cape, they tear it up with their collegiate team. And Schumann did a nice job.
You usually see a big jump, but just in the numbers from that year. And then if they return to the Cape a second time, it's just so much more progress. All those constant repetitions. It certainly can't hurt.
Schumann, one of 4 returning Kettleers on this 2018 squad. He's out of the stretch for the first time today with a runner on and 1 out. His first pitch to Logan Wyatt, off speed, down low, and it's ball 1. Ray Pastrana, the catcher, will trot out to the mound and have a conference with his battery mate. Just a quick word, and they're on the same page. That's something we've seen often as Pastrana, a new addition relatively to Cotuit as well. Started in his first game over the weekend against YD. He's been here for about a week. He was just a mystery man for a little bit with the practice squad and then finally was activated on the roster. And he's getting acclimated to these new pitchers that he's working with. Schumann set. Here's the 1-0. Called strike at the knees of Logan Wyatt, 94 on the gun, and Seth Schumann evens up the count. Infield at double play depth. The middle infield tandem of Adam Oviedo at short and Corey Wood looking back and communicating to each other. Runner on first and one out. The 1-1 grounded straight up the middle. Spike to Oviedo off the mound. He'll take it to second himself and throw on to Bierman at first. It's a twin killing. That'll get the Kettleers out of the inning. So Seth Schumann supported by his defense. The 6-3 double play from Adam Oviedo. And we head to the bottom of the third inning. The Kettleers trailing 3-0 against Orleans. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Bottom of the third inning, and Orleans starter Graham Stinson has outlasted his counterpart in Chris Lincoln. Lincoln only goes 2 innings as Seth Schumann came on in the last frame for Cotuit, inducing a ground ball double play up the middle to this man. Adam Oviedo is shortstop. That ended the last frame. He'll lead things off here in the bottom of 3 as Cotuit trails Orleans 3-0. 9-1-2 due up as the TCU shortstop will face off the Duke left-hander in Stinson. And Stinson out of the stretch to begin this inning. Comes set, and his first pitch to Oviedo dealt in on the outside corner, a fastball for strike 1. Sam Niederman alongside Sam Brief and our entire Kettleers media team here at Lowell Park. It's Adam Oviedo to start things off in this bottom of 3 for the Kets. Graham Stinson, the big southpaw, kicks and deals. Another good fastball, this time on the inner half of the plate. 94 miles an hour. Another called strike, and it's 0-2 on Oviedo. Orleans took an early lead, a 2-run first, and then they added another in the second. They're up 3-0 here at Lowell Park. Graham Stinson with the blue glove, evident of his Blue Devil ties, deals in the 0-2, swing and a miss on a good slider, 83 miles an hour, 3 pitches, and a big strikeout of Adam Oviedo to start out the inning.
Stinson looks really sharp right now, and that's reminiscent of what he's done at Duke this year. I know what stood out to both of us when we were looking at some of his numbers from Duke: 98 strikeouts, 19 walks. It's really rare at the Division I level to see a ratio like that. So far, 5 strikeouts, no walks today. He's true to his numbers.
Will Robertson will step in, looks at a first pitch slider called for a strike. It bent in on the inside, and it's another 0-1 count for Stinson, who was very impressive at Duke this past season, a 1.89 earned run average. Stinson kicks and delivers the 0-1, foul tip off the mid of Groshans behind the plate, and it's 0-2 on Robertson. Yet to see a fastball in this at-bat as Stinson went with the slider again. That's his big out pitch. He's got the power fastball, but then that slider coming in the mid-80s, always tough to deal with, kind of that Aroldis Chapman-like repertoire. 1 out and nobody on, 0-2 the count on Robertson. Stinson's 2-strike offering, fouled off on a missile on the left side, and it's out of play.
Joe Boyle-like as well with that high 80s slider. Stinson's slider not really in the high 80s. Boyle's and Chapman's certainly are, but when you can throw a slider at 85 plus, it's just lethal.
Schumann comes set, looks to the plate. Here's his 0-2 again to Robertson. Tapped on the right side, foul, and we'll do another 2-strike battle.
And still that shift against Robertson, sort of the anti-shift with the center fielder Brandon White shaded over to the left. The right fielder, J.J. Blade, shaded to the left against a pull hitter, kind of the opposite of what you would expect.
The 0-2 from Stinson, hit high in the air, foul, back on the left side once again, and Robertson staying alive for the third consecutive pitch of this at-bat with an 0-2 count. Obviously, Orleans very conscious of Robertson's 2-run home run that he had last Saturday night at Eldridge Park. It went over the left center field fence. Robertson, the left-handed batter, noted as a pull man, but a big gap out there to straightaway center in the right center alley. Here's the 0-2 again. Slider roped down the right side, and that one yanked out of play, foul.
So the Kettleers have yet to play a game this year in which Will Robertson does not reach base. Pretty cool. We've seen him rise from just this up-and-coming temp out of Creighton to the leadoff hitter and really an offensive stalwart.
He's battling here. The 0-2 from Stinson skips in the dirt outside with a slider, and it's 1-2. Robertson disciplined at the plate. He extended his consecutive on-base streak. In the first inning, he was hit by a pitch on a 5-pitch at-bat, went down to first, and was stranded. 1-2 the count with one out and the bases empty here in the bottom of 3. Stinson looks in, kicks and delivers. Served up foul once again on the left side, and Robertson continues to battle down to his last strike. 3-0 Orleans in front. 2 runs in the first inning. The RBI single from Logan Wyatt, J.J. Blade's RBI double, and then back in the second, Ricky Martinez, an RBI double to plate Phil Clark, and a 3-0 lead for the Birds here on the road. Will Robertson, the batter for Cotuit. 1 out in the inning, nobody on base, a 1-2 count and a long at-bat that has been frozen at 0-2 for a while. Stinson ready for the 1-2 after a conference with Groshans. He winds up and delivers. Chopped on the right side, in play, and it'll go down the line. It gets past Wyatt at first base. Robertson turning for second base. He'll get in there. What an at-bat by Will Robertson. It's a 1-out double, and the Creighton Blue Jay on fire still for the Kettleers.
Man, he really fought in that one. An 8 or 9 pitch at bat from Robertson, fouled off some tough pitches, and that time just sneaking it by the first baseman Wyatt for a double. And in his last 16 at bats, that's his 4th double. Will Robertson red hot at the top of the Kettleer lineup.
Robertson leading the Cape League in doubles this season, his 4th of the year, as you mentioned, Sam. Tops on the team here in Cotuit and best in the Cape. That one gets over the glove of Wyatt down the line at first base. Wasn't able to pick it, a hard hit ball, and Robertson wins the duel with Stinson. He takes his lead at second base with 1 out, and Thomas Dillard will come to the plate.
Dilly.
Number 2 batter in the lineup who was big last night. Stinson's first pitch to him, now the runner going. Robertson trying to swipe third, and he is thrown out easily as Stinson turned off the mound and got it over to the third baseman, Levy, who applies the tag in time, and just like that, the threat on the base paths erased for Cotuit. Robertson caught stealing. Not even a need from a throw for the catcher Groshans. It was a pickoff there from Stinson.
Never really had a chance. Robertson went a little too early on that one, and he was doomed from the start.
So nobody on and 2 outs in the inning. The first pitch to Dillard, a slider that catches the outside corner for strike 1. Cotuit trailing by 3 runs here in the bottom of the 3rd. Orleans has jumped on him early. Dillard at the plate trying to get something going after Robertson caught stealing. The 0-1 slider inside and a little low, and now it's 1-1.
And as a hitter, when a guy is thrown out, caught stealing like that, that can really just damper your momentum. You know, you got a runner in scoring position, now suddenly clear base paths, 2 out.
Stinson's 1-1. Tailed off to the right side, foul by Dillard, who's batting from the right side of the plate, a switch hitter out of Ole Miss. Hit as a lefty yesterday and crushed one over the right center field fence for a 2-run blast that gave the Kettleers a 5-3 lead and then the eventual 10-4 victory over Hyannis yesterday. Nobody on and 2 outs here in the inning. The 1-2 from Stinson. Fastball just a little low, and Dillard takes it for a ball, and it's 2-2. Good crowd at Lowell Park. Lots of youngsters running around here on the left side. School is out here in Massachusetts. This was the last day of school for many of the local schools here on the Cape. The 2-2. Slider fooled him. A check swing. He went around, and that's strike 3. And Dillard strikes out to end the inning. Graham Stinson cooking on the mound for Orleans. He's got 6 punch-outs on the day as we head to the 4th. Cotuit trailing Orleans 3-0. We'll be right back here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Top of the 4th inning, and it's 3-0 Orleans over Cotuit. Jax Groshans will start things off for the Firebirds. It will be the middle of the order, 5, 6, and 7, due up to face Seth Schumann. First pitch from Schumann, a good fastball at the knees for a called strike, and he's ahead in the count, 0-1 on Groshans. The Kansas Jayhawk, who's 0 for 1 today with a ground out to third, his first time up. The 0-1 lifted high in the air to deep left field. Dillard tracking back. That ball is going to go over the fence. A leadoff solo home run for Jax Groshans. He'll add on to the Orleans lead. It's 4-0 Firebirds here in the 4th.
Man, that's the 3rd home run of the season now for Groshans, and that leads the Firebirds. An unlikely candidate for the best power hitter in that lineup right now. And so far, this has not been the Kettleers' day. Nothing really going for them offensively. And then Chris Lincoln kind of got shaken up early. Then Seth Schumann gives off that leadoff home run, 4-0. And seems like the Firebirds' bats have finally awoken.
New batter is Phil Clark, the designated hitter out of Vanderbilt, and he fans at a first pitch fastball. Bases are empty after Groshans' solo home run makes it 4-0 Orleans. Schumann out of the windup, ripped right at the first baseman, Bierman, who was able to snag it out of midair, and that's allowed out number 1.
As you always say, Bavarian pretzel.
The Bavarian pretzel over there,
glove, yeah. Zach Bierman's glove, bigger than my head, on his right hand. It can scoop up just about anything, and that time did a nice job just snagging that laser beam out of midair.
And Zach Bierman makes a nice play. That first base glove always has to be big if you want to dig him out over there. Needed all of it as a laser beam came straight at him from Clark, and that's out number 1. Justin Levy at the plate, down in the count 0-1 on Schumann. Make it 0-2 as a good fastball scrapes the outside corner, and Schumann starting to settle in a little more.
Bierman's glove, though, nothing compared to a glove I once saw in the outfield bleachers at Wrigley.
Here's a breaking pitch that runs up high. It's 1-2. I want to hear about this.
So this dude who apparently comes during batting practice, always sits in the front row, gets there right when the gates open, has this glove probably 30 feet wide.
There's a ground ball snagged out of the air by Schumann. He'll toss it over to first, and Bierman has it for out number 2. That one took a solid one hop, and Schumann was able to grab it with his glove. And it's a 1-3 put out for out number 2. So this Wrigley Field glove, this guy gets there to batting practice then?
And then any balls that are in his general vicinity, no one really has a chance because he just puts his 30-foot glove out and can catch anything. It's kind of mean.
Here's a high fly ball from Spencer Steer. This one in shallow left center field. Oviedo, the shortstop, will take it himself, and it's out number 3 of the inning. But Orleans adds another. The solo home run from Jax Groshans makes it 4-0 as we head to the bottom of 4. Cotuit will try and answer when we come back. This is Cotuit Kettleers baseball here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Kettleers trying to find some offense as we enter the bottom of the 4th. 4-0 Orleans on top. Graham Stinson still on the mound for the Firebirds. Working into his 4th frame, he'll be facing 3, 4, and 5 in the Kettleers order. A lot of power to start off. Zach Bierman, Michael Tolia, and then Bo Brundage. And then if another batter reaches base, it'll be Eric Jones. Stinson, the lefty on the lefty Bierman. First pitch to him is a slider that's up in the zone for strike 1.
Stinson is rolling. He's faced 11 Kettleers. He's struck out 6.
The 0-1 to Bierman, swing and a miss. That slider really working. 0-2. I feel like he's thrown the slider for at least 10 of the last 12 pitches. 6 strikeouts, as you mentioned. He's really kept it away from the Kettleers lineup one time through. Ready for an 0-2 on the way. Bierman offers at it. Swing and a miss. Dropped in the dirt by Groshans. He'll pick it up and throw down to first. Wyatt secures it, and that's out number 1. Another strikeout for Graham Stinson on the mound. Chalk it up to 7 on the day. A lot of the swinging variety, only one of them looking. He fools Bierman that time. Bierman's second punch out of the day, and there'll be 1 out and the base is empty for Michael Tolia.
Man, this guy's good, isn't he?
Yeah,
Graham Stinson.
impressive.
I mean, 7 strikeouts and 12 batters. Just mowing through a Kettleer lineup that put together 10 runs last night.
First pitch to Tolia. Slider that's just off the plate for ball 1. Tolia on his first time up today. Grounded out in the first inning to shortstop. And that was about it. And worked a full count in that at-bat, but eventually lost the battle with Stinson. Ahead in the count, 1-0 here. Stinson's 1-0. Chop back foul into the fence, and it's 1-1. Michael Tolia back in Cotuit for a second straight summer as he played big time for the UCLA Bruins out in the Pac-12. First team all Pac-12 this past season. Batted .248 with 6 home runs and 27 runs batted in for the Kettleers last summer. 1-1 from Stinson. Ripped up into center field. That's through for a base hit, and Tolia has his first knock of the 2018 summer. He's aboard with 1 out here in the bottom of 4.
Some fresh blood in the middle of that lineup, and it's a welcome sight. Michael Tolia, a really imposing presence. Really good to see a base knock off of Stinson, temper some of his momentum. I think a good way for the Kettleers to to get back in this game is to chase Stinson out of the game. We faced a somewhat similar situation on Monday against Bourne with their starter, Jared DeCesare, and the Kettleers started to get some hope when they chased him out of the game. Let's see if they can do the same here.
Brundage at the plate, runner on first and Tolia with 1 out. 4-0 Orleans, but first a pick over from Stinson as Tolia will dive back in head first safe. Infield will be at double play depth, the duo of Martinez and Spencer Steer up the middle. Left-handed batter in Brundage facing the southpaw in Stinson. Another pick over to first, and this time Tolia back in standing. Kettleers trailing 4 runs here in the bottom of the 4th. A solo home run from Groshans adds another for the Firebirds in the last half inning. Bo Brundage at the plate with a wide gap on the right side of the infield as Wyatt holds on Tolia on first. Stinson looks in. Tolia on the move. Pitches in there for a strike. Tolia in there sliding at second base safely. It's a stolen bag for the big man who moves into scoring position with 1 out.
Yeah, really nice steal by Tolia, and Jax Groshans had some trouble getting the ball out of his mitt, which is why there wasn't even much of a play at second. Would have been much more bang-bang had Groshans actually been able to get the ball out of his mitt, but still, really nice job by Tolia. He's big, but he can move.
He's an athlete, a basketball player as well in high school. The 0-1, not before Stinson turns back to check on Tolia at second. Nobody holding at the moment. With the steal, that'll take the ground ball double play out of play for a moment. Bo Brundage at the plate, facing an 0-1 count. Infield back to normal depth. Outfield shifted over to the left a little bit. The 0-1 to Brundage, called strike on a good off-speed pitch just on the lower inside corner, and it's 0-2 now to Brundage. Brundage out of the University of Portland had a 3-for-5 day yesterday at Hyannis. He's had a good run of form lately with a 5-game hitting streak.
And it all started against the Firebirds on Saturday night. Went 2-for-4 with 2 singles, and then he's had a single in every game since.
Time called on the field. Now Stinson ready for an 0-2. First he'll turn back and check on Tolia again, who will just get back to the bag as a customary little move there. It's 0-2 still to Brundage. Still day here at Lowell Park. Some clouds overhead. Here on this Wednesday afternoon, Kettleers trying to score for the first time today. 0-2 to Brundage, way outside with a slider, check swing. He does go around, according to the home plate umpire, Tom Ryberg. That's out number 2 of the inning, and strikeout number 8 on the day for Graham Stinson.
And Stinson's high last year at Duke was 9 strikeouts back on March 20th against Campbell University. So just 1 strikeout away from tying his season high over at Duke. Pretty impressive stuff. He's feeling it right now.
He's through 3 2/3 so far, already striking out 8. He went 4 2/3 against the Georgia Bulldogs in the Athens Regional and struck out 8 back on June the 4th. Tolia takes his lead at second, 2 outs in the inning, and Eric Jones is the new batter. 1 for 1 today with a single back in the second. 4-0 Orleans here in the bottom of 4.
That game against Campbell, 9 strikeouts in 3 innings. Doesn't really get much better than that for a pitcher.
The southpaw kicks and deals. First pitch, big swing and a miss from Jones. A fastball at 94. That's about the first time in a while we've seen that fastball from Stinson. He's just been working that slider with Groshans behind the plate. Orleans and the traveling Reds today. Very much an LSU kind of template with the font on the front. Kind of curvy numbers on the back as well in white. 0-1 the count to Jones at the plate with 2 outs. Pitch loops outside. It's 1-1. Red ball caps for Orleans with the black brim and the Firebirds logo on the front. We were really admirable of the white home ball caps for Orleans that they had at Eldridge on Saturday. Very clean look with the white home uniforms. White pants on the road as well for the Firebirds. Kettleers in their usual white pinstripes on maroon here at home. 1-1 to count the Jones. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss again, and it's 1-2. Wind blowing a little slightly now. American flag Waves in the breeze out in left center field, just to the left of the scoreboard here at Lowell Park. A quiet crowd looking for a reason to cheer here in the bottom of 4. Kettleers being shut down by the man on the mound, Graham Stinson. Bottom of the 4th inning, and it's 4-0 Orleans. Stinson trying to work with Groshans, and they're going to go back through the signs once again as the Blue Devil will step off. Tolia taking a good lead at second with nobody holding on. 1-2 count on Jones with 2 outs in the inning. Stinson looks in and fires to the plate. This one nubbed off, swing and a miss actually, dropped by Groshans. He'll throw down to first, and that'll complete the inning. Graham Stinson, all 3 outs in this inning via the strikeout. He's got 9 of them on the day and locking down on the Kettleers order. As we head to the 5th, it's still 4-0 Orleans. This is Cotuit Kettleers baseball here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Welcome back to Lowell Park. 4-0 Orleans leads it, top of the 5th. 9-1-2 due up for the Firebirds, starting with Ricky Martinez, who takes a first pitch strike from Seth Schumann. Schumann out of Georgia Southern on to work his 3rd inning after Chris Lincoln started this one off. 2 innings pitched for Lincoln. 3 runs, 4 hits. Next pitch to Martinez. Just misses low for ball 1. Defensive substitution is Matthew McCourt. He's on at shortstop, the first time we see him defensively this season. Here comes the 1-1. It's just inside. So McCourt's going to replace Oviedo. Not exactly sure why. Oviedo 0 for 1 today with a strikeout swinging. And Matthew McCourt will also be batting 9th. Out of Mount Aloysius College in New Jersey, 6'2", 190. He's at short. Here's a foul ball, 2 balls, 2 strikes. McCourt had a great season last year at Mount Aloysius. .407 batting average, 13 home runs, 42 runs batted in. We did see him get a few at-bats in the scrimmage a few weeks ago against the Blue Sox. As Schumann kicks and fires, it's outside for ball 3. McCourt struggled from the plate, but with numbers like that, it's hard to ignore him. And we'll see what he has from the dish for the rest of this way as the Kettleers need some offense. Here's the 3-2 from Schumann. Swung on, and it's skied a mile high into the air out in right. Robertson has a beat on it, reaches up, and makes the catch. The ball was so high in the air that Ricky Martinez was almost at second base by the time the ball hit in Robertson's glove. And it's 1 out. Here comes the top of the lineup, starting with Brandon White.
A good job by Schumann to get the leadoff batter there. It's always good when you get to face the 9 batter. Ricky Martinez did make us pay for that earlier in the game. With 2 outs, he had that RBI double back in the 2nd and made it a 3-0 ball game. And now Brandon White, the leadoff man, digs in.
He takes a first pitch strike. 4-0 Orleans leads it. They've scored in every inning but the third. 2 runs in the top of the first off Chris Lincoln as strike 2 comes into White. Then they tacked on a run in the second, an RBI single from Ricky Martinez, and then a solo shot from Jack Groshans in the fourth. And here we are with the Kettleers down 4. The 0-2 to White. It's high and outside for ball 1, 90-mile-per-hour pitch from Seth Schumann. A returning Kettleer, Georgia kid, his second season in Cotuit. Here's the 1-2. It's in the dirt, ball 2. Brandon White, 6 feet tall, 165 pounds, speedy center fielder out of Winter Springs, Florida. A West Virginia Mountaineer with some good Mountaineer lineage as he taps one foul down the right field line. Noel Devine, who was a star running back with West Virginia back in 2009, ran for 1,500 yards for the Mountaineers, then went on for a short NFL career with the Eagles. He's the cousin of Brandon White. Here comes the 2-2 to Schumann, or from Schumann, rather. It's inside for ball 3. So a lot of speed in that family. A speedy center fielder, a star running back. And Brandon White gets in his open stance facing a full count. Schumann kicks and fires. Just misses outside, ball 4. Brandon White tosses his bat to the side, trots over to first with a walk. He's on for the second time today.
Yeah, Brandon White struck out 4 times yesterday. He struck out in his last time up. Now he's reached base twice out of 3 times. And it's never good when you give a free pass to a batter that's struggling like that. 1 out in the inning, time for a double play. Matthew McCourt, as you noted, Sam, in at the game at shortstop. See if he's ready for one up the middle with Corey Wood in a new infield tandem up the middle.
Here comes J.J. Blade. First pitch to him, swung on and cracked up the middle into center field. Brundage has it with a catch at the chest. Runner stays at first. Brandon White just getting back to the bag. And now 2 outs. Kettleers lead the league with 10 double plays on the season. They have been excellent already with 1 today on an unassisted 6-3 double play from Adam Oviedo. And now here comes Pat DeMarco. Left fielder out of Vandy is 1 for 2 today with a single back in the third. Schumann sets. Here's the pitch, swung on, and it's a slow roller right to the second baseman, Corey Wood. He gobbles it, throws to first, and that's out number 3. So Brandon White gets on base, but nothing doing for the Firebirds in the top of the 5th. But it's still 4-0 Orleans heading into the home half of the 5th right here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Welcome back here to Lowell Park. Bad news for Cotuit as they're down 4-0, and even worse news is Graham Stinson, who is absolutely rocking and rolling with 9 strikeouts on the bump. He's back on to work the 5th. And fans, what's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod Healthcare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive over at capecodhealth.org/blood center. So Graham Stinson, the big lefty, 6'5", 250 pounds out of Duke University. His younger brother Cooper will be attending Duke next year, also playing on the baseball team. And Stinson has gone 4 innings very strong so far, giving up just 3 hits to the Kettleers, no runs, and 9 strikeouts. Struck out 3 of the 4 batters in the 4th, and here comes the bottom of the order. Ronaldo Pastrana will lead things off. Corey Wood batting second, and then Matthew McCourt in the 9-hole. He's pinch hitting for Adam Oviedo. Stinson set. Here's the pitch to Pastrana, swung on. It's a chopper foul, fielded by Mike Roberts over at third base in foul territory. Scoops it up with his right hand. We saw the head coach make a nice play last night in Hyannis.
He did. He looked good over there down the line. Good technique, fundamentals over there, fielding the ground ball.
Here comes the 0-1 to Pastrana. Fastball zipped in, a little too far inside. It's a 1-1 count. Ronaldo Pastrana, a finalist for the Johnny Bench Award. One of the other finalists, Joey Bart, out of Georgia Tech, was the second overall pick in the MLB draft to the San Francisco Giants, as Ronaldo swings through a slider for strike 2. So good company for Pastrana to be up there with a guy like Joey Bart, a former Wareham Gateman who will be headed to the Giants. 1 ball, 2 strikes, no one on, no one out. Here's the pitch to Pastrana. He swings right through it. Strike 3. Pastrana heads back to the dugout. That is 10 on the day for Graham Stinson. Absolutely wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, he's on fire. He's struck out the last 4 batters that he's needed for outs. This has just been an impeccable performance on the day for Graham Stinson. Back in the Cape League for the second straight year, one of the 2 returners that Orleans has, along with Groshans. This battery has been on the same page, picking up right where they left off from 2017. Strong outing for Stinson.
Here's the pitch, just outside, ball 1. Corey Wood at the plate right now. He's 0 for 1 today, like many Kettleers. Hard to get anything going against a guy like Stinson. Sometimes you just run into a truck going 90 miles per hour, and that's been Stinson. Here comes the 1-0 from Graham. It's in the dirt, ball 2. Corey Wood's been the walk master this year for Cotuit. He leads them with 7 on the season. Was 1 for 3 against Orleans last time these 2 teams played on Saturday. 3 games in a week between these 2 teams. Saturday, that was a 6-2 win for Cotuit. Tonight, and then this coming Saturday, little 3-step. Here's a great slider in there for strike 1. Stinson zipping it in with a lot of oomph and pizzazz. And he's got a 2-1 count against Corey Wood. It's quiet here at Loa Park with the Kettleers down 4 in the 5th. Stinson out at the stretch, kicks and fires. Just pins it on the outside corner for strike 2.
Corey Wood has been a plate discipline kind of guy this season. I'm not sure if he liked that call right there. Just a little low and away, but it caught the zone according to Tom Ryberg. That's a big second strike, and now let's see if Stinson goes back to that nasty slider.
Looking for the put-away pitch. Here comes the 2-2. Just misses outside, 94-mile-per-hour gas. And it's a full count for Corey Wood. As Sam mentioned, Graham Stinson, Jax Groshans, that battery, the only 2 returners for the Firebirds from last year's squad that had the best record on the Cape with 29 wins. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Here's the payoff pitch. Swung on, foul tip straight back. We'll do it again with a 3-2 count. Last year, Orleans took down Chatham 2-1 in the first round. Then they lost to the eventual champion Brewster Whitecaps. They won the first game, did the Firebirds, and then lost the last 2 in the Eastern Division Final. Full count to Wood with 1 out, no one on. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball that loops too far inside, ball 4, and the walk master Corey Wood does it again. He takes first base, and here comes a pinch hitter, Matthew McCourt.
I was going to say it. I didn't want to jinx it before Wood started his plate appearance there, but I had a feeling that if there was a guy to reverse this trend of strikeouts that Stinson's had, it would be Wood, and he does just that. Takes the right pitches to work the walk. Now 1 out, and Matthew McCourt, who's subbed in for Adam Oviedo as a defensive sub in the last half inning, he gets a chance for just his second at-bat of the year.
Matthew McCourt, the righty against the lefty Stinson, gets a hold of this one, and it's a fly ball foul. Just popping beyond home plate. It's an 0-1 count. McCourt's only plate appearance so far this season was in a pinch hit chance in the season-opening 10-1 rout of Brewster. He came in for Corey Wood in the 9-hole, lined out to right field, or rather to third base, in his only plate appearance. A .407 hitter this past season for Mount Aloysius in Jersey. He awaits the 0-1, but first, Stinson is going to check on the runner. He hasn't had to deal with too much action on the base paths today, as the Kettleers have no runs on 3 hits. Clouds starting to roll in over Lowell Park. Sun no longer shining. It's about 70 degrees with still winds. Here comes the 0-1 from Stinson. Swung on and cranked into left field, but hooking foul into the trees just beyond the Cotuit bullpen. Some good wood from Matthew McCourt, but it's just a loud strike. No balls, 2 strikes now. That third base grandstand still chock full of Cotuit fans. First base grandstand about 3/4 of the way full. Fans lining the outfield fences here in Cotuit. No balls, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch to McCourt. Swing and a miss, strike 3. The throw back to first to check on the runner, not in time. But McCourt will sit down, and that's 11 strikeouts. Graham Stinson continues to hum along as he mows through the Cotuit lineup.
There's not much you can do there. That's just good stuff. It's major league level kind of stuff from Graham Stinson on the mound. This is a guy that's highly regarded by scouts. He was named the number 58 prospect in the top 100 sophomore list by Perfect Game this past year. Stellar with Duke. He's looking stellar to start here with the Firebirds.
Will Robertson on now with Wood taking his lead at first. Big cut and a miss for strike 1. The Kettleers still unable to solve the jigsaw puzzle that is Graham Stinson. The 6'5 lefty out of Duke has been superb. 4-0 Firebirds, bottom of the 5th. Second meeting between these two teams this year. Stinson sets, kicks, and fires. Swung on, and it's fouled off down the left field line as Corey Woods slides into second with what would have been a steal, but because of the foul ball, Woods got to take the 90-foot trot from second back to first.
Yeah, I had the hit and run on there with 2 outs trying to get something going. Robertson just a little late on that fastball.
Wood dusts up his pearly white jersey, and now it's an 0-2 count with 2 outs. Stinson looking for his 12th strikeout of the day. He had 98 this past season in Durham to just 19 walks. Today, 11 strikeouts to 1 walk. 0-2 count with 2 outs. Stinson against Robertson. Stinson sets, a deep breath, and here's the pitch. It's outside, and it gets past Groshans as it bounces off his glove near the Cotuit dugout. Corey Wood takes second base easily. And now a 1-2 count for Will Robertson. So a pass ball there. That was a fine pitch by Stinson, although it was a little outside. Just tipped off of Groshans' glove and out of play as Groshans comes to the mound for a quick conference with Stinson. These two guys, a lot of experience as battery mates, certainly an X factor in today's game. A lot of times you'll have a pitcher and a catcher and the Cape who haven't really played together because they'll be at different schools. You could have a guy from the Southwest and a guy from the Northeast who've never met each other, and then 2 days later, they're battery mates. Not in this case. These two guys have a lot of experience. Here comes the 1-2 from Stinson. Swung on and missed. For the 12th time today, Graham Stinson sets down a Cotuit Kettleer on strikes. The Duke Blue Devil continues to roll with his Firebirds up 4-0 heading into the road half of the 6th. We'll be right back with more Cotuit Kettleer baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Ready to begin the 6th inning here at Lowell Park. 4-0 Orleans all over Cotuit so far. Seth Schumann still out on the mound. He'll be working into his 4th frame of work against the heart of the order for the Firebirds. Logan Wyatt, Jax Groshans, and Phil Clark all due up in this inning. Schumann's first pitch to Wyatt, just off the plate with a fastball for ball 1. 4 runs on 6 hits with no errors for Orleans on the road today. No runs on 3 hits and 2 errors for Cotuit. The 1-0 dips inside on a curveball from Schumann, and it's 2-0 to Logan Wyatt. Wyatt today, 1 for 2 with a single back in the first that drove in a run. Grounded into a double play his last time up. 2-0 from Schumann is up and away with fastball. 3 balls and no strikes. Graham Stinson, he's been the story today for Orleans. Dealing on the mound through 5 innings, he's struck out 12 Cotuit batters. 3-0 from Schumann just catches the outside corner. 3 balls and 1 strike. Jax Groshans, the man in the on-deck circle, his solo home run back in the 4th, still the last run to be scored for Orleans. There's another fastball inside for a strike from Schumann, and that'll work the count back to a 3-ball, 2-strike situation here on Logan Wyatt. Left-handed batting, first baseman out of Louisville. Here's the payoff pitch from Schumann. Fastball, outside corner, called for strike 3, and Schumann battles back from 3-0 to get the first out of the inning.
Nice pitching there from Schumann, doing his best Graham Stinson imitation as he looks to keep this game within striking distance. And now here's the guy who tapped him for a home run in his last at-bat, Jax Groshans.
The first strikeout of the game for Schumann. Groshans steps in. Solo home run his last time up. He's 1 for 2 on the day. 1 out and nobody on as he takes a big hack and a miss through a fastball, and Schumann with an 0-1 count. Everybody straight up for the Kettleers on defense, infield and outfield. Schumann's 0-1, another called strike on the outside corner. That fastball working nicely. It's 0-2 on Groshans. Right-handed batter. Pastrana sets up outside for the 0-2. It runs way outside, another fastball. 1-2. 1 out here in the top of 6 and an Orleans 4-0 lead over Cotuit. Nobody on, and Jax Groshans at the plate. Seth Schumann out of the windup. The 1-2 spoiled off to the right side, foul. Activity in the Orleans bullpen. As good as Stinson has been today, 5 innings of shutout ball, striking out 12. There are these things called pitching limits and different things that pitchers adhere to in summer ball. As a 1-2 to Groshans just misses up and away, 2-2. Oftentimes, collegiate coaches will put restraints on their pitchers to keep them healthy, and possibly might apply to Graham Stinson as well, despite his immaculate performance today. 2-2 from Groshans, hit high in the air to center field. Brundage over to his left. He'll make the play for out number 2. Isaiah Kearns, the right-hander out of West Virginia, looks to be warming up in the bullpen down the right field line for the Orleans Firebirds. Possible that he might come on in the next frame as Orleans with a 4-0 road lead. 2 outs here in the top of 6, and now a pitching change for the Cotuit Kettleers. Seth Schumann is going to be pulled as pitching coach Jerry Weinstein comes to the mound. He'll take the ball from him. Schumann returning to Cotuit in 2018. He comes on for 3 2/3 innings of work. He exits with 2 outs here in the top of 6, and a new pitcher on for the Kettleers. We'll give you the change when we come back. We take a pause as Orleans leads 4-0 here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. New pitcher on for Cotuit here in the top of 6 with 2 outs and nobody on. It's Ryan Smith, the left-hander out of Princeton. Cotuit going with a little bit of a matchup game here as Seth Schumann went along for 3 2/3 out of the bullpen. He leaves this game as it will be a lefty-on-lefty matchup. Spencer Steer will be the new batter, or I beg your pardon, Phil Clark. Left-handed batting designated hitter will step in with 2 outs and nobody aboard. Ryan Smith, left-hander, on for his 3rd appearance of the campaign. First pitch to Clark, hit in the air, shallow center field. Brundage trying to dive in, however, he won't be able to come up with the ball. It'll fall down. That'll be a base knock for Phil Clark with 2 outs in the inning. Good effort by Brundage out there, but he was unable to get to it at just a nick of time. Otherwise, it would have been a web gem.
Really great effort by Brundage. He's got so much speed out there in center. That's why they sent him out there. So close to making the web gem. Looked like he had it in his glove for a moment, just popped out. A really tough play.
So a 2-out base runner for Orleans, who leads 4-0 here in the top of 6. New batter is Justin Levy out of Louisville. Right-handed batter facing the left-hander and Smith. Ahead of the count, 1-0. Clark takes his lead at first base, held on by Bierman. 1-0 from Smith. Fastball right down by the pipe, and it's 1-1. Couple of changes defensively for Cotuit coming into this game. Originally, Thomas Dillard was supposed to be the DH, and Will Robertson would have been left. Smith's 1-1 is low and in. Michael Tolia was going to start in right field today, but eventually Mike Roberts decided to switch things up, have Tolia DH, put Dillard in left, and Will Robertson making a start in right today. Brundage the only constant in center. The 2-1 to Levy fouled back, and it's 2-2. Kettleers have not had it go their way at the plate today. They've only mustered up 3 hits on Graham Stinson, who struck out 12 batters and has shut down the Kets. It's 4-0 here in the top of 6. Orleans in control. Diving back safely on a pickoff move was Clark, and we'll get ready for another 2-2. Batter is Justin Levy. Another throw over to first. This one goes a little high, and Zach Bierman able to spear it out with the Bavarian pretzel over there. Smith, 5'10", out of Garden City, New York. The left-hander comes set, ready for the 2-2. Tailed off foul at the plate by Levy on the right side, and we'll do a 2-ball, 2-strike count again. Orleans up 4-0, 2 in the first, 1 in the second, and a solo home run from Groshans back in the 4th. Nothing doing for the Kettleers today. Clark takes his lead at first, the 2-2 again, off-speed pitch fouled back. Outfield is straight up for Cotuit, infield is straight up. Eric Jones playing in a little bit on the corner as he always does at third. Justin Levy the batter. Louisville against Princeton on the mound, and Ryan Smith. The left-hander kicks and deals. The 2-2 just off the plate. Ray Pastrana held it there on that outside corner for a while, but Tom Rayburn, the home plate umpire, says no, sir, and the count will run full. Ready for a big payoff pitch with 2 outs. The runner will be moving in Clark at first base. Here's the pitch from Smith. Loops in a breaking ball, called strike 3. It looked like Justin Levy thought he had ball 4, but Smith sits him down with a strikeout to end the inning. We head to the home half of the 6th. Kettleers trail 4-0 against Orleans here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Kettleers come to the plate here in the bottom of the 6th inning, trailing the Orleans Firebirds 4-0. Have a hit, the rally cry on the third base grandstand, and that is exactly what the Kettleers need. Might be their best chance to get something going before it's too late. 2, 3, and 4 due up in the Cotuit order. Dillard, Bierman, and Tolia on to face a new pitcher, Graham Stinson, out of the game. He goes 5 strong innings for Orleans, shutting down Cotuit. Only walking 1 batter, allowing 3 hits, and striking out 12. He was downright filthy, but Cotuit gets him out of the game, probably a pitch count. New pitcher on, it's the right-hander out of Northeastern University, Tyler Brown, number 17, a 6'5", 190-pound rising senior out of Hudson, New Hampshire. Dillard will come to the plate. The switch hitter will bat from the left side this time against the big right-hander. Sam Niederman along with you, Sam Brief as well, and our entire Kettleers media team. We're glad to have you with us on the Kettleers Baseball Network, whether on Mixlr, live streaming on YouTube, or if you're here on the Cape, watching live on Comcast Channel 99. Pleasure to have you aboard. Kettleers in the bottom of the 6th, down by 4 runs. Against a new pitcher in Brown. His first pitch to Dillard in there, a called strike, and it's 0-1.
12 strikeouts from Stinson, awfully impressive, but not the record for Orleans. That was set back in 1971 by Mike Pazik.
The 0-1, a big swing and a miss on a yacker. Good curveball from Brown. It's 0-2 to Dillard now. Orleans infield shifting heavy to the right. 3 infielders stacked on that right side. Spencer Steer, the lone player at third base. As Dillard takes outside, it's 1-2.
So Pazik back in 1971. Any guesses? Strikeouts in the game, Orleans record? 18.
Wow. 1-2 to Dillard, runs outside again. That'll even the count 2-2.
How do you strike out 18 in a Cape League game?
It's pretty crazy. That's some Kerry Wood kind of stuff right there.
That's pre-pitch count era, too, so maybe a little easier back in the wild 70s.
2-2 to Dillard is a breaking pitch that doesn't break quite enough, and the count runs full. Shift still on for Orleans. 3 red shirts on the right side of that infield. Steer, the second baseman, playing third. Here's a payoff pitch. Up and away, a leadoff walk-in. Dillard is aboard to start the bottom of 6.
All right, we talked about it between innings. If there's any part of the Cotuit lineup to get this offense going, with Stinson finally out of the game, it's this part of the order, 2, 3, 4. The big returners, Dillard and Tolia. Bierman, of course, the clutch slugger who's been so good as of late. It's go time.
Bierman will come to the plate, a left-handed batter again to face the right-hander in Brown. Dillard on first base, infield back to their normal positions, with Wyatt holding on first. First pitch to the Bierman is a good pitch, an off-speed pitch for a strike. Michael Tolia on deck. A switch hitter in his own right, and it looks like he's getting ready to bat as a lefty in the next at-bat as well. Tyler Brown, the right-hander, out of the stretch. Tall set, now he goes. Pitches way upstairs at the chin of Bierman. It's 1-1.
And just for the rest of the season, how awesome is it to have 2 returners who are used to the wood bats, used to playing in the Kettleers system, that can switch hit? I mean, that is remarkable.
Dillard leaning off first, 1-1 to Bierman, up and away. Brown struggling to find his control early as he's entered this game in relief. It's 2-1. The pop that's been added to the Cotuit lineup is substantial. Dillard and Tolia, 2 power bats. And as Sam noted, they'll be in the heart of the order for the rest of the summer, coming back for their second year. A 2-1. Bierman hits it high. It's a pop-up, playable on the infield. Steer's going to come over from third base. He'll make the grab. That's out number 1. So Zach Bierman now 0 for 3 on the day as he's retired. And this will make room for Michael Tolia to come up with a runner on first and 1 out.
So some defensive substitutions for Orleans. Spencer Steer out of Oregon. He's moved over from second base to third. Quincy McAfee at second.
It's McAfee who's in at second. Ricky Martinez remains at short. Steer moves over to third. Wyatt. Thomas Dillard walked to lead off this inning. He's on first base. Bierman popped up to third. There's 1 out. Here in the bottom of 6, A 4-run advantage for the Orleans Firebirds, trying to get back at Cotuit, who beat them earlier on Saturday. Here's the 0-1 to Tolia, breaking pitch that's outside, 1-1. Of course, the controversial win for Cotuit at Eldridge Park, the grand slam that was a phantom slam, as some called it, from Adam Oviedo, that was questionably foul in that game down the left field line. It gave the Kettleers a 6-2 win. The 1-1 from Brown, swing, and it just nips off the bat of Tolia, foul. It's 1-2. A lot of people from the Orleans side are still jabbing about that. We were joking beforehand saying the Wednesday, what do you know? It's 4-0 here at the bottom of the 6th.
And the Orleans broadcasters were telling us that their first game back at home after what Kelly Nicholson was calling a foul slam. Early in the game, there was just kind of a liner, an innocent liner foul down the left field line, and there was a fan right behind home plate yelling, "Oh, is that a home run?"
Ironically enough, the man who was behind the plate in that Saturday game who made that fair or foul call is Sam Finn. He's out in the field in B position behind the mound, umpiring with today's crew. Michael Tolia at the plate, the 1-2 count, roped over on the right side, scooped up by Wyatt. He bobbled it trying to go to second, but he'll have to just take it to the bag for 1, and there's 2 outs in the inning. Dillard moves up.
We saw a similar play made last night by Zach Bierman for Cotuit. A first baseman just trying to do a little too much. Kind of like in football when you got a wide receiver who, when you watch that slow motion instant replay, looks forward before actually catching the ball. Wyatt was already looking to turn 2 before he even scooped it up. Bobbled it a little bit. Luckily for him, he could still make the unassisted out.
Bo Brundage will be the new batter with a runner in scoring position in Dillard and 2 outs, and he yanks one down the right side on the first pitch he sees, and that'll float foul.
Brundage has been a hot bat as of late. 5-game hit streak, 3 singles actually last night against Hyannis, but he's 0 for 2 today with 2 strikeouts.
He's looking to reverse that trend today and keep his hit streak alive. Kettleers would love it here to try and trim down this 4-run deficit here in the bottom of 6. Dillard takes his lead at second. The right-hander Brown delivers. 0-1 is in the dirt. Groshans blocks it. And Dillard will retreat back to second base. It's a 1-1 count on Brundage. 2 in the first, 1 in the second, and then 1 in the fourth again for Orleans. That's all they've needed so far behind their starter, Graham Stinson, who exited the game going 5 shutout innings, striking out 12 Kettleers batters. Brundage at the plate. Lefty is facing a 1-1 count from the right-hander Brown. Breaking pitch, just able to catch the outside corner. It's 1-2. 2 outs in the inning after the ground out from Tolia to first base. Eric Jones awaits in the on-deck circle. Lowell Park faithful, rather quiet today on a Wednesday night, looking for their team to break through on the scoreboard. Brown looks back at Dillard. Here's the 1-2. Sent off on the left side, high in the air, and a foul ball out of play. Activity in the Orleans bullpen. They've got a pair of righties throwing down there. Nothing doing in the Cotuit bullpen. Ryan Smith came on to finish out the last inning for Seth Schumann, who went 3 2/3 in long relief today. Chris Lincoln, the starter for Cotuit, only goes 2 innings, surrendering 3 runs in his debut. Brown takes a deep breath, ready for the 1-2. Inside fastball, and it'll be 2-2 on Brundage. Orleans on the road for the 6th time in their opening 8 games this season. They've struggled, only 1-4 this year away from home. Brown trying to change that. Here's the 2-2. Served up, high fly ball, left center field. Brandon White, the center fielder, gallops like a gazelle to high point it in the alley, and that'll be the 3rd out of the inning. You can't get much past him. He's a speedy defender, and he robs Brundage of a base hit and ends the inning for the Orleans Firebirds. We head to the 7th. Cotuit still down by 4. We'll be right back on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Top of the 7th inning, and Cotuit still trailing Orleans 4-0. It will be Spencer Steer to lead things off for the Firebirds. 8-9-1 due up with Ricky Martinez and Brandon White to follow. Ryan Smith is the pitcher on the mound for the Kettleers. Back at it for this first full inning of work that he's seen today. He came on for the last third of an inning in the 6th. 1-0 count to Steer, and he runs up a fastball way upstairs, and it's now 2-0 to the Oregon Duck, who's moved over to third base after starting at second today. Steer 0 for 2 on the afternoon. Probably will be 0 for 3 as he sends a high fly ball to right center field. Brundage able to get over, and he'll make the play for out number 1.
Nice play by Brundage out in center field. And, Sam, we know it's been fire and ice for the Cotuit offense. Coming into this one, in their 5 wins, they've scored 42 runs. In their 3 losses, just 4. So it's really been this team goes as the offense goes. It has been the best offense in the Cape. Through the first 8 games, they lead the Cape in runs, home runs, RBI, total bases. But today, ice cold.
Swing and a miss from Ricky Martinez on Smith, and he's down in the count 0-1. Only 4 runs in those losses. They've only been outscored in the losses 12-4. So it's not like they're getting blown out when they're losing. Just a case of the bats not being able to support the pitching. And it's not like the Kettleers have had a bad day from their pitching staff today, allowing 4 runs on 7 hits. Mind you, 2 unearned runs with the big 2 errors. Martinez strikes out swinging on 3 pitches. Smith sits him down quickly for out number 2.
And Cotuit, a lot of that is because Cotuit's pitching has been so good. Second best pitching in the Cape so far, second only to Harwich, who we haven't seen yet this season, but by all accounts, from what I'm reading and seeing, Harwich seems to have a really special pitching staff, and Cotuit is right up behind them.
Leadoff man Brandon White takes a strike, and boy, did he make a fine defensive play in the last inning. Bo Brundage hit one into left center, and he was just swiftly over there as can be. He is so speedy in center. Made a catch on what normally would be a left fielder's ball to catch, but he gave way for Brandon White, who pops one up as a bunt attempt, foul, and it's out of play. It's 1-2 now.
I think you said he galloped like a gazelle, and that was spot on. I mean, he had the high knees going pretty much out in left center field as he made that look easy.
The 1-2 to White, cued on the right side. Bierman will funnel it and take it to the bag himself at first. And it's a 1-2-3 inning quickly for Ryan Smith. The Kettleers will trot back to the dugout and get ready to bat as we head to the bottom of the 7th. Stretch time here at Lowell Park. Orleans 4, Cotuit nothing. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. New pitcher on for the Orleans Firebirds in the home half of 7. It's 4-0 Orleans, and they will turn it to Eli Herrick to come on in relief against the Cotuit Kettleers. The right-hander out of Duke, who was once a Kettleer himself, signed a temporary contract with Cotuit to begin the year, pitched a little bit in the pregame scrimmage before opening day, then he was let go, finds a spot in Orleans. He pitched against them on Saturday in the 6-2 Kettleer victory. Of course, he was the man that gave up the phantom grand slam to Adam Oviedo. And, of course, he's back on to start, and the Kettleers will have Eric Jones to start things off at the plate, followed by Ray Pastrana and Corey Wood. Herrick entering the game, spotted with a 4-0 lead here in the bottom of 7.
Yeah, and Herrick was not good last time out. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. 2 2/3, 4 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks. I mean, not only did he give up that foul slam of Adam Oviedo, but he pretty much loaded the bases. So whether the ball was fair or foul, Herrick put them in a bases-loaded situation. This is actually the 3rd time this season pitching against the Kettleers, if you count that preseason scrimmage when he pitched for Cotuit against Cotuit.
First pitch swinging, Eric Jones. It's a liner into right field over the head of a jumping Quincy McAfee. That's down for a base hit, and the leadoff man aboard for Cotuit here in the bottom of the 7th.
Time to pounce. And Eric Jones with his second single of the game. The first one looked awfully similar, just a little flare out into right field. And let's see if the bottom of the lineup can get some momentum going.
Jones now 2 for 3 on the afternoon. Just the 4th hit for Cotuit today. Eli Herrick out of the bullpen, 1 pitch and a base knock from Eric Jones. First pitch to Ray Pastrana, down and in for ball 1. 4-0 Orleans, bottom of the 7th inning, Cotuit running out of outs, but maybe their last couple of chances here with a runner on base in Jones. The 1-0 from Herrick gets it across the outer half of the plate for strike 1. Infield for Orleans at double play depth. It's a new combo up the middle. Defensive substitutions in the last inning. Martinez at short, McAfee at second. Ripped over on the left side by Pastrana. It's foul down the line, and it's 1-2. Spencer Steer from Oregon is at third base. Everybody in the outfield still the same for Orleans. DeMarco, White, and Blade. Grosjean's behind the plate. Eli Herrick, the 3rd new pitcher for the Firebirds today. He's ahead in the count, 1-2 on Pastrana. Here's a 1-2, breaking pitch, hit high in the air and out of play, foul on the right side. Kettleers had a man in scoring position last inning in Thomas Dillard, but Bo Brundage was robbed of a base hit by center fielder Brandon White in the alley. What can Ray Pastrana do here? 1-2 from Herrick. Out of the stretch, hit high in the air, right field. Going back is Blade. That ball's going to bounce off the wall. Jones will trot into third base. Roberts will holding up there. Ray Pastrana with a double. That'll put the Kettleers in business. Runners on second and third with nobody out.
Yeah, we were kind of waiting to see if that ball was going to be fair. It stayed put, didn't hook quite enough to go foul, and Pastrana with another double. He's been excellent so far this season from the dish. Inserted into the lineup for his offensive capabilities, and he's been on fire. Came into this game 3 for 7, 3 runs batted in, and now he has Cotuit in great position with the tying run on deck.
That's Pastrana's 3rd double of the season. And before Corey Wood will step to the plate, a mound visit for Orleans. Eli Herrick comes in, faces 2 batters, gives up 2 hits. And a pitching visit on the mound. This is not Kelly Nicholson. The infield will converge. Herrick got into a messy situation with Cotuit last Saturday at Eldridge Park. He finds himself in just that again here at Lowell Park. Everybody trying to get on the same page for the Firebirds. Corey Wood at the plate, a really good batter. As far as his plate discipline goes, he's drawn 8 walks on the season. That's top 5 in the Cape so far. Leading the Kettleers in on-base percentage as well. Long conversation on the mound, and now Tom Rayberg is going to come out from behind home plate and say, let's wrap it up, fellas.
That's a long mound visit. Jerry Weinstein would not be happy. The king of quick, speedy mound visits on the Cotuit side.
He's pretty efficient. And now we're set to go. This is Herrick's situation. No pitching change. The right-hander out of Duke trying to help out his fellow Blue Devil teammate in Graham Stinson, who went 5 shutout innings earlier today for Orleans, striking out 12. Runners on second and third for Cotuit, their best chance of the day here in the bottom of 7. No outs, and the left-handed batter is Corey Wood. Herrick's first pitch to him, breaking pitch in the zone for strike 1.
Wood takes a lot of pitches, takes a lot of walks, doesn't strike out very much. One of only 3 Kettleers in the starting lineup to not go down on strikes to Graham Stinson, who exited the game with 12.
Herrick comes set. Now the 0-1. Fouled straight back into the fence, and Corey Wood down in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Eli Herrick in the traveling red Orleans jersey. The white letters and numerals with Orleans across the chest. Long white pants and the red cap with the black brim. Kettleers trying to get some of their pinstripes across the plate. Here's the 0-2 way outside. Herrick with part of the front part of his shirt untucked. Just sort of baggy. Not a very clean look for the reliever out of the pen. Corey Wood at the plate, facing a 1-2 count. Here's Herrick's pitch. Breaking pitch, called for strike 3. Wood did not like it. It just nipped the outside corner. Wood goes down looking, and that's out number 1.
Unfortunate result there. Wood was a little too patient on a really good put-away pitch from Eli Herrick. And if you're Cotuit, you just need to put runners across the plate in this inning. Down 4 runs, bottom 7. You've got 2 runners in scoring position. The Kettleers just can't afford to leave these guys stranded.
And Matthew McCourt is the batter, coming to the plate for the second time today as a sub. First pitch he sees from Herrick is waved at and missed for strike 1. Right-handed batting shortstop who came on to replace Adam Oviedo in the top of the 5th. 0 for 1 today. Struck out his last time up. Runners on second and third, 1 out in the inning. Herrick's 0-1 downstairs. An appeal as they thought McCourt checked his swing. He did not go, and the count remains 1-1. Groshans will go out to talk with Herrick. They'll make sure to get on the same page. Duke and Kansas, the tandem on the mound. Pastrana, the runner on second base for Cotuit. Jones on third. 1 out in the inning. It's Matthew McCourt at the plate, getting a chance here. Off the bench out of Mount Aloysius College. Herrick comes set high at the shoulders. The 1-2, turned down the left field line, foul.
And a spot for McCourt, who hasn't made his mark in the Kettleers lineup because he hasn't had the plate appearances. A chance for him to assert himself. In a clutch situation, can he deliver?
All eyes on McCourt at the plate. Herrick on the mound. Herrick comes set for the 1-2. Breaking pitch lined into left center field. That ball is in the gap for a base hit. Matthew McCourt will single. Both runs will come home to score. Cotuit breaks through here in the bottom of the 7th. It's Matthew McCourt on lane as substitute to cut this lead in half. It's 4-2.
How about it? Matthew McCourt, the pinch hit wonder kid, the South Jersey kid, gets it done, and we've got a ball game.
Matthew McCourt takes one high in the air to left center field. That time, Brandon White couldn't do anything about it. It was deep in the gap. It's a gapper that scores 2. It's 4-2 Orleans. Orleans finally giving up a run today, and they'll have a pitching change. Kelly Nicholson comes out to the mound. Eli Herrick's day is done. He surrenders 2 runs. McCourt comes up big in the big spot, and we'll get you the new Firebirds pitcher on the other side of this break. It's 4-2 Orleans over Cotuit with just 1 out here in the bottom of 7. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Bottom of the 7th inning, and the Cotuit Kettleers have a little bit of life. Matthew McCourt's 2-run single makes it a 4-2 ball game. Orleans still in front. A new pitcher on for Orleans. It's Kevin Kelly, the right-hander, who we saw last Saturday. He went 3 1/3, relieving the starter Eli Herrick in that game. Did not allow a run on just 2 hits. He struck out 3, facing 12 batters. He relieves Herrick here again, this time in a late-game situation. And Cotuit has put the pressure on. McCourt in the 9 spot delivers. Now the top of the order will have a chance, trailing by 2 with just 1 out in the bottom of 7.
I love it. Spread the love a little bit. You know, last night in the 10-run outburst for Cotuit, it was the big names that really made the difference, most notably Thomas Dillard, of course, probably the best pure hitter in this Cotuit lineup, at least last night before Michael Tolia came to town. But today, Matthew McCourt, the unlikeliest of heroes so far, someone who had just 1 plate appearance on the season coming into this game, just shows how deep this Cotuit roster is so early in the season. McCourt smashes that single into right center, or left center field rather, plating 2, and we've got a ball game with the tying run now at the plate.
Will Robertson is that tying run. He'll step in, the left-handed batter, to take on Kelly, the right-hander, out of the bullpen for Orleans. 4-2 the score. Cotuit down. McCourt the runner on first with 1 out, and Kelly will check on him with a pick over to Wyatt. McCourt not even taking a lead that time. Will Robertson the batter. First pitch to him from Kelly, on a rope, into right field. That's down for a base hit. McCourt will advance to second. He'll stay right there, and the hit parade continues in this inning. It's Robertson who's got a 1-out single, and they'll be first and second. Thomas Dillard coming to the plate with still only 1 out in the inning.
Look at that. The bats have awoken. With Graham Stinson out of the game, now Cotuit starting to pounce on this Orleans bullpen. Throughout the season, we've seen Cotuit pounce on a lot of bullpens, most notably YD and Hyannis. Let's see if they can put a beating on the Orleans pen with Dilly at the plate.
Thomas Dillard is the man. First and second, 1 out. Kevin Kelly on the mound, right-hander against a left-handed batter out of Ole Miss. Kelly's first pitch to him, looping curveball that's down in the dirt, 1-0. Dillard on the day, 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, reached on a walk his last time up. He is the potential go-ahead run as Cotuit trails 4-2 late in this ball game. 1 out in the bottom of the 7th. Orleans with a slight shift over to the right. The 1-0 catches the outside corner on Kelly's off-speed pitch. It's 1-1. Martinez, the shortstop, playing almost up the middle, just off of the second base bag. McAfee at second, shifted over to the right. Wyatt hugging the line at first. 1-1 to Dillard, down low, and he's ahead in the count. 2 losses in the last 3.
Got 2 of them now with the bases juiced. Biggest at-bat of the ball game coming up.
Kelly versus Bierman. Bases loaded for Cotuit. They trail by 2 runs here in the bottom of 7. Only 1 out in the inning. Kelly out of the stretch. First pitch to Bierman. Big cut and a miss. Down low on a fastball, and it's 0-1. Bierman has had a troubled day today. He's 0 for 3 with 2 swinging strikeouts. Both of those came against Stinson, the starter. Kelly comes set at the chest, kicks and deals, breaking pitch, swoops inside. It's 1-1. Michael Tolia, the batter on deck out of UCLA. A bunch of lefties to face here for Kevin Kelly, the right-hander on the mound. Ready for the 1-1. Down and in, it's 2-1. Orleans hanging on for dear life with a 4-2 lead. Cotuit knocking on the door in the bottom of 7. Bases loaded and 1 out. The 2-1 to Bierman. Spoiled back foul into the parking lot. It's 2-2 now. Matthew McCourt's 2-run single is the life spark in this inning for Cotuit. It's 4-2. He stands at third. Robertson on second. Thomas Dillard, the runner, at first. 2-2 count on Bierman. Kelly's pitch, it hits him. Got him on the elbow guard, and that will bring a run home. Matthew McCourt will come home to step on home plate. Everybody moves up a base. It's 4-3.
Yeah, Bierman's a big dude, pretty easy to hit a piece of him, and that was a fastball right off his elbow. I could hear the thud all the way from up here. Now just a one-run deficit for Cotuit, and Michael Tolia now with a chance to make an immediate impact. Already with a single today and a chance to play hero in his first game with the Kettleers this summer.
The hit batsman plates another one for Cotuit. 3 are home in this inning. Bases still loaded. Michael Tolia sends one high in the air. Deep left center field. It'll stay in the yard. Blade will make the play. Coming home from third base is Robertson. A sac fly from Tolia ties this game at 4.
That's all you needed, a hit deep into the outfield. Tolia sends it nearly to the track in left field, enough to score the runner easily, and how about it? What a comeback from the Kettleers. Down 4-0, it seemed like they had no hope, no offense, facing Graham Stinson, who was on fire, and just like that, all knotted up at 4.
All of a sudden, we're on level terms here at Lowell Park. Runners on first and second with 2 outs, and Bo Brundage the batter. Kevin Kelly still on the mound. First pitch to Brundage. Fans on the first pitch fastball. It's 0-1. Kettleers have rallied back. A 4-run bottom of the 7th inning makes this a tie ball game at 4 apiece. Kevin Kelly on the mound for Orleans. There's the pitch to Brundage. Lined up the middle. That ball's through into center field for a base hit. Dillard waved around third, coming to the plate. The throw from White, not in time. Advantage Cotuit here in the 7th. It's 5-4. Brundage comes up big.
Bo Brundage extending his 5-game hitting streak to 6 with a clutch RBI single. A 5-run inning here against Orleans. And this game has been turned upside down.
Bo Brundage comes through. Dillard came around to score, and just like that, the Kettleers take the lead, their first of the day. It's 5-4 in the bottom of the 7th. The rally continues. Cotuit's heart of the order getting the job done. Brundage just able to poke it past Martinez into center, and Dillard comes home. So first and second still, and it's Eric Jones at the plate with 2 outs in the inning. Pitch from Kelly, waved at and missed, and it's 0-1.
Cotuit's had some wins this season, blowout wins, 10-1 against Brewster, blowout against YD, blowout last night. They had yet to have this kind of a cardiac, come-from-behind win. Obviously, there's still a lot of baseball yet to be played, but it's encouraging when a team is able to scrap back from down 3+.
Eric Jones started this inning. He gets to bat again as he looks at a curveball outside. He started with a single and eventually came home to score on Matthew McCourt's 2-run base hit. That made it 4-2. Zach Bierman was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded to make it 4-3. The 1-1 to Jones, tapped foul on the left side, and he's down in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's a 4-4 game after Michael Tolia's sac fly to deep left field. And then the base hit by Brundage plates Dillard to make it 5-4. All 5 runs for Cotuit coming in this 7th inning. And they've all of a sudden leaped over Orleans here at home. Jones the batter at the plate. Brundage on first and Bierman on second. The 1-2 from Kelly. That goes outside on another curveball. It's 2-2. Once again, Orleans losing a game late as Kettleers have taken the reins of this one. Now the question is, can they finish? Jones would like to add more. Here's the 2-2. He fends it off foul on the right side. Kettleers have batted around in this inning. 5 runs home to take a 5-4 lead over Orleans here in the bottom of 7. Runners on first and second, a 2-2 count to Eric Jones, and 2 outs in the inning. Kevin Kelly kicks in, deals, and it's a swing and a miss on a curveball. That's strike 3 to end the inning, but the Kettleers rally. It's a 5-run 7th, The RBI single from Brundage to score Dillard gives Cotuit the lead. They have it 5-4 over Orleans as we head to the 8th. Sam Brief will take you home on the play-by-play. This is Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Back here in Lowell Park, how the tide has shifted. The Kettleers are up 5-4 against the Orleans Firebirds here in the top of the 8th. And folks, if you were tuned out for the last half hour or so, you might be quite surprised because Cotuit was down 4-0 with nearly no offense and seemingly no chance for most of this ball game. And Kettleers just put together a 5-run 7th inning against Eli Herrick and Kevin Kelly. They lead at 5-4 here in the 8th. J.J. Blade working a 1-0 count against Ryan Smith, now 1-1 with a breaking ball in there for strike one. Ryan Smith, the Princeton Tiger, back on to work his second full inning. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Blade. It's smashed foul off to the left side. A 1-2 count. Some unlikely heroes in that inning. First of all, Matt McCourt, just his third plate appearance of the season. He smashes a 2 RBI single to make it 4-2. Michael Tolia puts together another run on a RBI sac fly. Here's a ground ball right to the hot corner. Eric Jones takes it, lobs it to first to get out number 1. Another run comes in on a hit by pitch from Zach Bierman with the bases loaded. And then Bo Brundage caps it all off, extending his hitting streak to 6 with a single up the middle, plating a run and putting the Kettleers up 5-4. 1 out, no one on, top of the 8th. Here's Pat DeMarco to face off against Smith. High arcing curveball way outside for ball 1. Five runs on 8 hits for the Kettleers, 4 on 7. Here's a liner right to Eric Jones. One hops into his glove, gathers, throws. There's the out. A quick 2 for Ryan Smith.
Eric Jones did have the error back in the first inning that eventually came around to score for Orleans, but he's just been a magnet ever since at third base, just like all season long. We sound like broken records saying it, but he plays so in on that infield grass. It just is a vacuum. He scoops up everything that comes at him, no matter how hard it's hit.
Foul ball straight back off the big bat of Logan Wyatt. It's an 0-1 count. Matthew McCourt, the shortstop. Corey Wood, the second baseman. Zach Bierman, the first baseman, all on the edge of the infield as a breaking ball drops in high for ball 1. On the other hand, Eric Jones on the edge of that infield grass. All the way up as Mike Roberts comes out of the dugout to tell Matthew McCourt to move over to the right, maybe expecting a pull from Logan Wyatt as ball 2 comes in. Wyatt, the big slugger out of Louisville, is 1 for 3 today, and he sends a high fly ball to left field, charging in Dillard. It bounces in front of him, a base hit for Logan Wyatt.
Actually, check that, Sam. That's Robertson out there in left. We've had a defensive sub here on the game. Peyton Burdick enters in right field, and Robertson will move over to left field. So Mike Roberts going all defense for the rest of the way. So that'll move Dillard out of the game, who started in left, and that'll put Burdick in his spot in right.
Burdick, an excellent defender out in right field, offers a lot of speed to track down fly balls both in front of him and behind him. Now here's Jax Groshans, first a pickoff attempt unsuccessful. Groshans, the catcher out of Kansas, 1 for 3 today. A solo shot back in the fourth to put Orleans up 4-0. That was back when the Firebirds had all the momentum. Smith checks on the runner once again. Not only did they have 4 runs after that blast from Groshans, but Graham Stinson, the big lefty out of Duke who started this game for Orleans, was just humming along. He finished 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs. Walked just 1 batter, struck out 12. Cotuit just couldn't solve him, and all it took was getting him out of the game. And next thing you know, Cotuit's on top. Here comes Jerry Weinstein and his maroon windbreaker to go check on his pitcher, Ryan Smith. Not sure if he'll turn to the bullpen here, just offer some words of advice. He's got his arms folded across his chest. Looks like this is just going to be an advice session from Jerry.
He's pointing over to the runner at first base and Logan Wyatt. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's saying, I'm not sure if he's a threat to run over there. Let's get the batter with 2 outs in this inning. I could be wrong, though. I'm not qualified to try and predict that kind of stuff. But whatever Coach Weinstein's saying right here is to get everybody ready for this final out of the inning. Ryan Smith has done a nice job coming out of the bullpen, working into his second full inning. He finished up back in the 6th. And actually, it looks like we're going to have a pitching change.
Yeah, Ryan Smith exiting that huddle. He'll take a seat in the dugout. And a new pitcher coming on for Cotuit with a 5-4 lead with 2 outs in the 8th. Looks like it's going to be Garrett Gale, the righty out of Rice, to come on and clean things up against Jax Groshans. We'll be right back on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Back here at Lowell Park, 5-4 lead for the Kets. 2 outs, 1 man on in the top of the 8th for Orleans. That's all she wrote for Ryan Smith. A pretty good job by him in 2 innings of relief, giving up just 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 2 strikeouts. And for the second time in as many nights, here comes Garrett Gale, the righty out of Rice. We saw him for an inning of work last night against Hyannis, gave up just 1 hit, no runs, a walk, and no strikeouts against the Harbor Hawks. This is his 3rd appearance, or that was his 3rd appearance of the season. This is his 4th. He's yet to give up an earned run on the season. And Sam, probably a good spot for Garrett Gale here. The righty-on-righty matchup with Jax Groshans, a dangerous hitter for Orleans, as Cotuit looks to hold this brand-new 5-4 lead.
I like the pick here with Gale out of the pen. He's been quietly very effective. Not very flashy, just gets the job done. And those are the best kinds a lot of times. And he's on here to try and finish up this inning. 2 outs and a runner on. He's facing a right-hander in Groshans. Let's go get it done.
Groshans the opponent. To remind you, 1 for 3 on the day with the solo shot back in the 4th. The runner on first takes his lead. That's Logan Wyatt, the big man out of Louisville. 2 outs, top 8. The pitch from Gale is high at the eyes of Groshans, and it's a 1-0 count. Cotuit storms all the way back with a 5 spot in the 7th inning. Just like that, they have the lead, but they've got to hold it here. The pitch from Gale trails just a bit outside. It's a 2-0 count. Groshans, the catcher out of Kansas, came into this game a .250 hitter on the season, and with that solo shot in the 4th, he's got a team-leading 3 dingers on the season. Gale checks on the runner with a throw to first. Still a 2-0 count to Groshans. Dark clouds continue to roll in. A splotchy sky overhead here at Lowell Park. Some blue spots, but mostly dark blue clouds. Here's the 2-0. It's a fastball at 96 right down the alley, and it's a 2-1 count for Groshans. Groshans, 6 feet tall, 193 pounds, out of Magnolia, Texas. Here's the 2-1, swung on, and it's smacked out into right field. 2 hops into the glove of Burdick. A base hit for Jax Groshans. And now Orleans might have something cooking in the 8th.
There's a good piece of hitting that time from Groshans. He goes oppo into right field. Gale just wasn't able to sneak it by him. Now you have runners on first and second with 2 outs. This will be Phil Clark at the plate. The good news for the Kettleers in this situation is both runners not very speedy. A couple of big ends, a first baseman and a catcher out there. So in the event that there's a base hit, you would hope that would mean that it's just everybody moves up 1 base. But nevertheless, there's a force at any base, first, second, or third. Anything works here. Garrett Gale just needs to focus on the batter.
Phil Clark, 2 for 3 on the day with 2 singles. First pitch from Gale, tapped foul into the backstop. 95, he's pumping gas, folks. An 0-1 count for Phil Clark as Ray Pastrana comes to the mound for a quick word with Gale.
Look at Pastrana
He's
smiling.
yeah. He's enjoying himself. It's baseball,
I
you know.
love it.
Might be a tense situation, but at the end of the day, this is summer ball. Chance to get better, chance to have some fun. And right now an 0-1 count for Phil Clark. Here's the pitch from Gale. Swung on and thumped in the right center gap, but Bo Brundage ranges over and makes a clutch catch to keep this game in favor of Cotuit. Kettleers 5, Firebirds 4. We'll be back with the bottom of the 8th on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Welcome on back. 5-4 Cotuit. Kettleers looking to close it out, and they could use some insurance in the bottom of the 8th. A 5-4 lead, and they'll face off again against Kevin Kelly. The right-hander out of James Madison University is 6'2", 195-pound junior. Combined with Eli Herrick in the last inning to yield 5 runs to the Kettleers, who stormed all the way back to take the lead. First pitch to Ray Pastrana. It's that lower corner of the zone for an 0-1 count. Pastrana, Wood, and McCourt due up in this inning. 7, 8, 9 hitters for the Kettleers. Second pitch is a breaking ball that whizzes outside for a 1-1 count. The Firebirds have not fared well in 1-run games, and that's where we are now. Here's the 1-1 from Kevin Kelly. Big swing and a miss from Pastrana. Count moves to 1-2. The Firebirds are 1-3 on the season in 1-run games. And 2 of the last 3 games they've lost by 1 in walk-off situations. Comebacks, walk-offs have not treated them well. Here's the 1-2. It skips in the dirt. 1 hops right into the left hand of Corey Wood on deck. Smooth as ice. Hands it right to the bat boy. And it's a 2-2 count.
I love it. Good snag, Corey Wood.
Hardly moved a muscle.
Yeah.
Just kind of landed in his left hand. Here's the 2-2 to Pastrana. Fastball that drops into the zone for strike 3. A backwards K there from Kevin Kelly. And now here comes Corey Wood, again, looking to add some insurance.
That's Kevin Kelly getting the leadoff batter there, and now Corey Wood will come to the plate. It would be huge if the Kettleers were able to tack on a run or 2 Remember, Cotuit has not been in a real save situation this season. Obviously, that means 3 runs or less heading into the final 3 outs.
First pitch to Corey Wood, sent in on the outside corner for strike 1.
And you wonder whether it will be Garrett Gale to come back out there for the final inning. I do spy with my little eye Steven Schock down there in the bullpen.
This one a foul ball off to the left side. No balls, 2 strikes.
He's not getting loose. He's just standing up, tossing the baseball. He is available today.
He's playing hacky sack out there.
Yeah.
No balls, 2 strikes to number 2, Corey Wood. 1 out, no one on in the bottom of the 8th. Dark clouds continue to roll in over Lowell Park. And here's the 0-2 to Wood. Fastball outside for ball 1. As Sam mentioned, no save situations yet this season for the Kettleers. They've had blowout wins like the win over Brewster 10-1, the 11-3 win over YD on Sunday, and the 10-4 win yesterday. Here's the 1-2, swung on, and it's a grounder on the right side. Not scooped up by Wyatt. Fires to first where the pitcher Kelly covered. He gets it over in time for the out. Logan Wyatt struggled with it there, nearly scooped it up, but it just bounced off the bottom part of his glove. Nice recovery, though, from the Louisville Cardinal, and now 2 outs for Matthew McCourt, one of the unlikely heroes today.
McCourt was so huge in the last inning. The 2-run single to start the rally for the Kettleers. A big blast into left center field. That one had a lot of power under it, stayed in the yard, but it was a long 2-run single as he didn't go for extra bases. But that was fine. He came around to score anyway. And that was a spark that the Kets needed to break onto the scoreboard and eventually come back and take the lead.
He takes a first pitch strike. Now the second pitch is a high fly ball foul. Looks like it's going to bounce in the concourse out of play. It does. And it's an 0-2 count for McCourt, who in his 3rd plate appearance of the season in the bottom of the 7th drove in 2 to break the goose egg on the Cotuit side of the scoreboard and make it a 4-2 game. Right now it's 5-4 Kettleers. Here's the 0-2. Hooks just outside. Count moves to 1-2. Matthew McCourt, if you've listened to us this season, you probably haven't heard his name much. Out of Mount Aloysius College. Here's the 1-2. Broken bat. It's a ground ball to the left side, scooped up by Steer, fires to first to get out number 3. So Kevin Kelly rebounds well, forces a 1-2-3 inning, and Orleans has a fighting chance. They're down 5-4, entering the top half of the 9th. Garrett Gale will be back on to work the top of the 9th and try and hold this one for Cotuit. We'll be back on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Welcome back, top of the 9th here in Cotuit. Garrett Gale back on to work the 9th and try and hold this 5-4 lead for the Kettleers. And fans, you can visit Stars Restaurant at Chatham Bars Inn Resort and Spa for a world-class dining experience. A proud member of leading hotels of the world. 7-8-9 due up in this inning, and it'll start with a pinch hitter for Orleans, Quincy McAfee, who came in the game as a defensive substitution for Justin Levy. He's on, and he'll be the first man that Garrett Gale faces. First pitch from Gale, fastball that just misses outside. That's ball 1 to Quincy McAfee. McAfee out of Pepperdine University. Second baseman at 5'11", 181. Here's the pitch. It's a fastball right down the pipe for strike 1. Quincy McAfee looks to get things going for the Firebirds. A .537 hitter his senior year in high school at Katy, Texas. Here's the 1-1, chopped foul. Little dribbler over to the Cotuit dugout, about 30 feet from home. And it's a 1-2 count. That was a West Side High School single-season batting average record, .537 from Quincy McAfee, whose numbers obviously took a dip once he got to college, playing with the big boys. Here comes the 1-2 from Garrett Gale. Fastball just misses high, and the count runs to 2-2.
Thought he had him there. That was a little high in the zone. Now it's a 2-2 count. We'll see if he goes back to the breaking pitch or if he tries to pump it by him.
Mike Roberts barking out orders from his post just beyond the Kettleers dugout, and Gale set for the 2-2. Here it is. Again, misses high, and it's 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Just couldn't quite get enough of the drop there on the curveball. And it's just up. And now a huge payoff pitch as Mike Roberts motions to Brundage to shade over a little bit to the right side of second base and center field.
And Eric Jones at third playing forward as he always does. Here's the payoff pitch. Just misses low and outside. Appeal to the first base umpire says McAfee didn't go on that sort of quarter swing. He takes first base with a high five to Ryan Erickson, the Firebirds' first base coach. And now the tying run is aboard for the Firebirds. Here comes Spencer Steer, the Oregon Duck.
A leadoff walk when you need 3 more outs here in the top of 9, leading by a run. All last 3 of those pitches from Gale were in and around the strike zone, but just not quite. Hang on tight.
Spencer Steer is 0 for 4 today. Shows bunt, pulls it back. It's a fastball down the middle for strike 1 as the third baseman Eric Jones came crashing in. Middle of the infield at semi-double play depth with McCourt, the shortstop, and Wood, the second baseman, shaded towards the bag. Jones playing in on the infield grass, expecting the bunt. Here's the pitch. There's a bunt. It pops right in front of Ronaldo Pastrana, who takes it, fires to first, and he guns down out number 1. McAfee moved over 90 feet closer to home. He's at second, now in scoring position. And here comes another pinch hitter for the visiting Firebirds.
James Free, the old catcher, is going to get back into this ball game. Started in the first game against Cotuit on Saturday at Eldridge Park. Comes into Lowell Park in a big spot here. Top of the 9th, 1 out. The sac bunt moves McAfee over. And now it's going to be on Garrett Gale. It would be lovely to get a strikeout here.
So James Free the second, the catcher out of Pacific University. A rare switch-hitting catcher will bat lefty against the righty pitcher Gale. First pitch from Gale, big hack and a miss from Free, and that's strike number 1. This past season at Pacific U, Free started 51 games, a .283 hitter with 7 home runs. He saw some limited action in the last meeting between these two sides on Saturday night, down in the jungle at Eldridge Park. The 0-1 is a swing and a miss for strike 2, 94 miles an hour that time from Gale. Now looking for that put-away pitch.
A big pitch from Gale that time, going to his fastball and dialing it up at 94.
It's 5-4 Cotuit, top of the 9th, looking to close out a comeback winner. Here's the 0-2. Just misses high and outside. And the count moves to 1-2. So James Free pinch hitting for Ricky Martinez, who drove in a run back in the second. That was way back when the Firebirds were dominating this one. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Ring him up, Garrett Gale. Now just 1 out away from winning it.
Bam! Big pitch, Garrett Gale, curveball down low, and he got him swinging, retiring the pinch hitter. That was a big out number 2.
So now Brandon White, the West Virginia Mountaineer, the speedy center fielder, is the last hope for the Firebirds. Can Garrett Gale cap off this 5-4 comeback win? First pitch to White, a fastball just missing low. And it's a 1-0 count for Garrett Gale, the Rice Owl. In his fourth appearance this summer for Cotuit, he's yet to give up an earned run. We saw him as recent as last night as the home plate umpire Tom Ryberg calls time. Brandon White is 0 for 2 today, reached on an error in the first, came around to score. Also walked in the 5th. He's the last hope for Orleans as they trail by a run. Here's the 1-0. It's a strike on the outside corner. Great fastball from Gale, a 1-1 count. So the man on second is Quincy McAfee. He came in as a defensive substitution for Justin Levy. He represents the tying run. Here's the 1-1 from Gale. A fastball again pinned on the outside corner. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and the Kets are 1 strike away from capping off their first comeback win of the summer. Crowd rising to its feet here at Lowell Park, anticipating a Kettleer win. Gale comes set. The 1-2 pitch. Just outside, the ball skips past Pastrana. That's a free 90 feet for McAfee. He takes third on the passed ball, and the count runs to 2-2.
Ooh, good call there, Sam. 90 feet indeed, and that could be dangerous. Any ball in play, that means you got to make the play. 2 outs in the inning. Gale still has him where he wants him.
Man at third, 30 feet from home. 2-2 count, 2 outs. Here's the pitch from Gale. Swung on, tapped to first. Bierman scoops it up, steps on the bag for out number 3. And the Kettleers come roaring back from down 4-zip. They win it 5-4, their 6th win of the season.
What a performance by the Kettleers late in this ball game. The resolve on display. They were beaten down to the floor through the first 6 innings or so of this one. Graham Stinson goes 5 strong shutout innings, giving up no runs, won a couple of hits. He only walked 1 batter and struck out 12. And then Cotuit rallies against the Orleans bullpen. Once again, another big inning. That's been a huge story from this season. 5 in the 7th. Everybody contributing top to bottom in the order, doing their job. The sac fly from Tolia to tie the game. Bo Brundage's go-ahead hit with the RBI to score Dillard. A wonderful performance late in this ball game. Gale does well coming out of the pen with the 4-out save. The Kettleers take this one over Orleans, make it 5 in 6 games. They're 6-3 on the season, and this is a good way to get over Hump Day with a huge win in a comeback fashion against Orleans.
Heck of an effort from the Kettleers, who once trailed 4-0, facing the dominant pitching of Graham Stinson, but they roar back with a 5 spot in the 7th, and that's a 5-4 winner for your Kettleers. We'll be back in a few minutes with some post-game analysis, but for now, the final score from Lowell Park is Cotuit 5, Orleans 4. We'll be right back. Back here at Lowell Park, hey, hey, Cotuit, blaring on the loudspeakers to celebrate the Kettleers' 6th win of the season, and it comes in comeback fashion, down 4-0. Seemed like all hope was lost, but the Kettleers roar back for a 5-4 win. That's 5 wins in their last 6 games. Certainly clicking at the right time of the season right now as they try to get up and at it and get accustomed to the wood bats and all that comes with the Cape League. And the Kettleers moved to 6-3 on the season. The Firebirds dropped their record to 2-6. Sam Brief, Sam Niederman here in the booth, perched atop Lowell Park. Thanks for sticking with us for all of tonight's action, a 5-4 win for Cotuit. And Sam, let's start with that wild 7th inning, 5 runs for Cotuit, and it all started with an unlikely hero.
Matthew McCourt, the pinch hitter, he came on at the top of the 5th as a defensive substitution for a struggling Adam Oviedo. He gets a chance at the plate, a 2-run single into left center field. That started the rally, made it a 4-2 game at the time, and then Zach Bierman gets hit by a pitch with the bases loaded. That brings in another run, 4-3. Our old friend Eli Herrick out of the game. Cotuit in great position. Michael Toll Tolia comes up to the plate with the bases loaded still. Will Robertson on third base. He scores on an RBI sac fly to deep left field. I thought that ball might get out of the yard from Tolia. I was geared up for a home run call there. Instead, he ties the game with the sac fly. Runners on first and second with 2 outs in the inning. For who? It's Bo Brundage, still with his hit streak in jeopardy. He extends it to 6 games. That's rather academic because that hit gave Cotuit the lead. The RBI single to score Dillard, making it a 5-4 victory. Never say die, Cotuit today. They were in it. They were in it to win it. They never gave up, and that's the beauty of baseball. You never out until that final out is recorded. And Graham Stinson, hats off to him, the Orleans starter, going 5 innings, shutting down the Kettleers, striking out 12. But once the Kets got into the bullpen, it was a totally different ball game. The bats were fresh. They were more confident. And once they started chasing Eli Herrick in that 7th inning and started that rally, the big 5 runs to give them the lead, it was a totally different look here at home. Good energy from the crowd. You'll love to see a comeback win. It's the first real close game of the season that we've seen score-wise from the Kettleers, and to be a part of that kind of situation early in the year always helps in the long run, and this comeback today will definitely pay dividends. It does immediately as the Kets improve to 6-3.
The starting pitching for Cotuit was a little shaky. Chris Lincoln started the game for the Kettleers with 2 innings, gave up 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, no walks, as the Firebirds really pounced on him early. 2 runs in the top of the first, 1 run in the second, and then a Jack Scrotian's home run in the 4th made it 4-0 Firebirds. And Sam, at this point, with the offense clicking for Orleans, Graham Stinson nearing that Orleans franchise record for a single game in strikeouts with 12, it seemed like Cotuit didn't really have a chance.
Yeah, he was locked down all day long. Stinson, the best pitcher that we've seen on the Cape this season, and Cotuit, I'm sure, will be definitely looking forward to facing a new guy, and they were in this game getting into the bullpen for Orleans. He was nasty. That slider was unhittable all day long. He had great velocity on his fastball, but it was really that slider that gave Kettleers the fits all day long. 12 strikeouts, as we've said time and time again, and Orleans wasteful of a good pitching performance today. You waste a start like that to blow the lead late, and it's just been more of the same, unfortunately. If you're a Firebirds fan, this has been heartbreak city over the last few days. All these one-run games. Orleans drops to 1-4 in one-run games this season. Cotuit in their first close game of the year, chalk it up to 1-0. They deliver big time in a comeback.
And in their last 4 games now, the Firebirds have dropped 3 of them, 2 on walk-offs, and won a game in which they led 4-0 nearly wire to wire, and then lost it with a 5 spot from the Kettleers in the 7th. Definitely heartbreak city down in Orleans. Right now, the Firebirds in their red-clad away uniforms meeting on the first base side to break down that loss. Jerry Weinstein imparting some words of wisdom over on the third base side to Chris Lincoln, the starting pitcher today for Cotuit, who certainly wasn't sharp, but he's a tall, athletic pitcher for the Kettleers, offers a lot of potential. I think we'll certainly see him get in the starting nod a few more times this season, and we'll certainly hope for a bounce-back effort from him. Our next broadcast will be tomorrow down at Yarmouth Dennis at Red Wilson Field. I hear Sam might eat a Hurler burger, which is the YD special, which what I'm told is a hamburger sandwiched in between 2 jelly donuts. And I think Sam might try to tackle that one.
No, that's fake news. I don't know what your source is there.
Okay, I got unreliable source, I guess. We'll be on the air at 5 o'clock for that one, an audio-only broadcast. You can listen to Sam and me online, mixler.com/Cotuit Broadcasting for that one. Next game for Orleans is back home. They've been on the road for a lot of this season. Only played 2 home games so far, but they go back to beautiful Eldridge Park to take on the Brewster Whitecaps. You can go to their website to listen to their great broadcasting crew for that one. You could even listen to both games. You could listen to us at 5, and then when we're over, go over to Orleans. A lot of road games on the docket for the Kettleers at YD tomorrow, then at Brewster Friday, back here against the same Firebirds Saturday, and then at Chatham for a Sunday doubleheader at Foggy Veterans Field before the first off day of the season on Monday the 25th. For my broadcast partner, Sam Niederman, our entire incredible broadcast crew here at Lowell Park, I'm Sam Brief signing off from Lowell Park, a 5-4 comeback winner for Cotuit. We'll talk to you tomorrow for the game at YD. Until then, have a great rest of your week.